What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 109. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
By the eye of Agamotto, we will make another show.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Yo.
And Brian Manjoma.
Hey, guys, what's up?
All right, we don't know where the hell Brett is. I hope he'll just show up later on, okay, this show, we got a lot of questions, so we're gonna, answer them obviously, but we're not gonna spend too long on each one because we got a lot of good ones though. Okay, before we start, a couple of things though. I want to give a shout out to Torrance Davis for reaching the Warzone episode 300.
It's too bad we can't have the 300 song playing.
Yeah,
from
right.
The movie.
So yeah, I was on the show. Funny story about that because he started early this week, right?
Whoa!
And like around 11 o'clock, he sends me a message going, "Yo, Tony, man, you coming on the show?" I completely forgot because what happened is I finally got my PlayStation Pro on Friday, right? I got the shit like around 1 o'clock, so by 3 o'clock, I started doing the data transfer. The shit didn't end until almost 10:30. It took 7 hours to do this shit. So I was fucking around with some games and I completely forgot about Warzone. But Torrance hit me up and I jumped in and we're having fun reminiscing about the old days and stuff, crazy shit. So yeah, shout out to Torrance.
Somebody's got to ask that Mark Cerny why it takes so long. It's so right? Advanced, right?
Well, the theory that Carlos brought up is like my network was the bottleneck. Because if I would have plugged in both systems together, I probably would have done it a lot faster. I did it through my network. So I just took 10,000 years for like 220 gigs or something,
Yeah, and mine was, I transferred like little under 400 gigabytes, and that took like less than 2 hours.
Yeah, shit, man. But I got it up and running. Maybe I'll talk about it during the show. We'll see. But before we really get into it, oh, actually, by the way, this is an unprecedented episode for Throwdown Your Questions. I hope this dude is all right. Final stage boss, where you at? No questions from this man. We've done 108 of these and like all those other regular throwdowns from back in the day. He was always there. I don't know what happened. Maybe he's mad Trump won. I don't know, but
maybe he's like in a hyperbaric chamber, like he can't.
Yeah, my man's like, fuck this shit. I'm waiting 4 years.
Well, he won after the last show posted.
That is true.
So
yeah, I don't know, but anyway, hopefully you're okay, dude. Hopefully you're just gaming. The PS4 Pro is like just holding you like your attention and stuff. Maybe that's what's going on. So we hope to see you again next week. But speaking about fans, I need to address a specific fan because this is got me very upset to say the least. Okay, so I gotta address this dude called Extra Nobody. So for Throwdown Your Questions episode 108, last week's episode, this dude comes into the comments and he's very upset with me. And by the way, people, I actually already talked about this on the Co-op, the latest episode of Co-op, which should be up tomorrow on the Coalition, but it's already up on the YouTube. I talked about this, so I'm kind of reiterating what I said there. So he comes into the comments, he's upset because he thinks that I was making up what Albert Pinello said about uncompressed 4K 60 frames per second on the Scorpio, right? I'm like, no, this is what the man said in that podcast, but that's not the heart of it. He started accusing me personally of deleting his comments. He like in his big long thing that he wrote, like literally 4 or 5 times, he goes, "Tony, please don't delete my comments. I just want to, tell you what I think. Please don't leave my comments. Please don't leave my comments." I wanted to kill this motherfucker. It's like, yo, why would I delete your shit? Here's the thing with me. I'm a guy that I value the relationship I have with all the fans, all the guys listening to us right now, all you guys watching us right now. I'm not one of these ivory tower dudes like Jeff Keighley and fucking Colin Moriarty. I'm one of the people, you know what I'm saying? So I don't try to do shady shit like that. You want to tell me something, even if I disagree, I want to hear it. I want to hear all sides, right? So why would I like start deleting comments from a guy who is just questioning what I'm doing? Think about it like this, right? Other Zinc and Damien talked real shit about me, everybody on this podcast and everybody on the Coalition said some nasty shit. We never deleted any of those comments. So why are we deleting
those things are still there for your enjoyment?
So as soon as I saw this, I hit up Gary, right? Or, he's the web guy here. I was like, yo, Gary, what's going on? Were these guys' comments deleted? He says, no comments have been deleted on the site pretty much since the beginning. We don't do that shit on the coalition, right? So basically what we think is either Discuss is having a problem where Gary explained it better than I did, but he basically said that Discuss has a thing where it filters out spam, right? And you may have written things in a way that made it think you were spamming, maybe too many capitals, maybe repeating shit too many times like you were doing, and maybe even your email might be suspect, right? So that's probably what's happening, right? I could be an asshole and say you're fucking lying, but I'm going to give you the benefit of that, which is something you didn't give me. Instead of going in there and going, hey, Tony, my comments have been deleted. Can you please look into this? I don't understand what's happening. You didn't do that shit. You go right in there and start instantly accusing me of deleting your fucking things. And here's a news flash. I don't even know how to delete comments, man. So you can't come in there talking all this bullshit without evidence, man. Especially if you're a real fan of Throwdown, like you claim, you would know that none of us would ever do shit like that. So how could you come in there accusing us of this nonsense without any fucking evidence? I didn't appreciate that shit. And I'll be honest with you, when I read that shit on Friday, like I really wanted to grab you by the back of the head and smash your fucking face and talking that bullshit. Like Manny said, a bunch of weeks ago, I'm a real guy. You come talking shit, I'm coming right at you. I don't play that shit, especially those and that's a heinous accusation as far as I'm concerned. You don't come at me with that bullshit, So hopefully we'll get, you'll get this squared out. See what's going on your end. We're not deleting your fucking comments. All right. So I just wanted to get that out there, and right on cue, here's Brett. What's going on, Brett?
What's up, people? Sorry I'm late. I've been having some internet troubles as of late.
Oh boy. At least it wasn't Skype problems. Some of the guys were late because of Skype being fucking stupid,
Awesome.
Skype being what it is.
Yeah, being
garbage. Garbage.
Yeah.
Piece of
Exactly.
garbage.
All right, so I said what I needed to say out there. Again, check your Discuss things. Maybe don't capitalize everything. Maybe use a different email address, but something's going on your end because we're not deleting your fucking comments, all right? So let's move on here. Mr. Barry Burns starts us off. Oh, by the way, Brett, I'm going to shock you right now. No questions from Final Stage Boss this week.
What?
This has never happened. 180 episodes is the first time this has happened.
We are obviously in an alternate dimension where Tony plays PC games and Brian does not go see Doctor Strange on the first day it comes out.
And
right?
Final Stage Boss doesn't.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and Trump is president.
No politics, Tony. No politics.
We're getting our first two questions are actually about politics, so get ready. Okay, Barry Burton, and again, I want to apologize to you, Barry, because we didn't answer this question last week because literally I didn't see it in the chat. So sorry about that. All right, first question. This is a fun one, actually. If the video game industry worked like the U.S. government, who in the industry should be president of the United States of video gaming?
Man, wait. If it worked like our country does,
yes.
Then that'd be the guy who owns Activision.
No.
He'd be the president.
Who's an audacious jackass? Cliff Bleszinski.
He should be the president of gaming.
Well, he would be if it worked like this.
I mean, it'd be the dude. It'd be that jerk off who owns Activision. Fucking.
Oh, Bobby Kotick?
Yeah, it'd be Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, but he's part of the establishment, man. Right now, what the people want is someone with the populist message, someone that speaks his mind, and someone that comes into my mind is David Jaffe.
Or God of War guy.
David Jaffe?
David Jaffe.
No, I thought I was thinking Cliff Bleszinski. I'm sorry, I was getting both of those guys merged.
Manny's thinking about Cory Barlog. Or maybe what's his face? Sig, right?
Yeah, Stig.
Yeah, Stig, yeah. I don't know, this is a tough question, man. Wait, what the fuck? I'm sorry, I'm looking at something because I was looking at this one 4K TV for like $800. Now it's like $1,300. What the fuck? I'll talk about that later. I don't know, man. Like, who we want? Like, or actually,
well, I would want the game industry to work like our government.
Yeah,
I don't think our government's working too well right now.
Can I take this moment to say Kevin Butler for president?
Yes, I like that.
He has nothing to do with the industry other than freaking commercials.
Well, no.
Is that any better than what we have right now? Who's essentially a freaking what do they call it? A
reality
show star?
Yeah.
Actually, that's probably the perfect allegory for Trump. So not part of the industry, just kind of a spokes guy.
So here's my thing with Kevin Butler. I have issues with that guy. Well, I don't have issues with him.
I mean,
I don't know. I have issues with him.
The fact that he's just a pitchman who just showed up on things.
Yeah, like I hate something really irked me like a couple of years ago, and I still haven't gotten over it. So this was E3 2000 whatever, and he shows up, right? And everyone goes freaking crazy. And they were using like the whole Kevin Butler like being there as part of like, oh, that's why Sony won E3 because Kevin Butler was there. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, man? And I just can't get over this guy. I hate this guy now.
Oh, really?
Why? That was a great E3 because of that, man. That was awesome.
No, I don't really care about that stuff. Like I only care about games. So when he showed up and everyone went crazy, I'm like,
oh, okay. Kevin Butler is a national treasure. I will put that out there. This guy is great. Sony fucked up badly by letting him go.
Dude, and Stan Lee's a little bit of a different example because he actually did a lot of stuff, but a lot of when people recognized and were fans of Stan Lee came after he actually had the creative influence, when he became a figurehead of Marvel, when he started the fucking clubs and whatnot. He reached out to his fans and made himself an icon, and having a branded kind of icon to speak to your consumer base, while it's not legitimate and it's definitely manufactured, it's still a huge asset. Like I wouldn't say that Sony won E3 that year because Kevin Butler was there, but I would say it added some weight to their presentation, and that's because they were very successful in building a brand up until that point. It's not like they just found him walking on the street and went like, oh my god, we're totally going to exploit this guy. Like, they built the idea of who this character was. And through a very successful ad campaign, they created kind of a brand icon, and so people were excited to see that brand icon there. And it just so happened to be he was a real person, so he could really show up, but he was still a fictional fucking character.
Yeah, I think the thing is that he also, at least for that one, I don't believe that he made them win the E3 either. I do think he took an otherwise boring fucking Sony conference and made it a little more interesting. And I think we've said in the before, even before we had this podcast, they should just have that guy stand on the stage and do the fucking presentations rather than having those fucking boring bureaucrats up there.
Yeah, I agree. Bring back Kevin Butler #.
To me, the most ideal E3 press conference is when you show nonstop games.
Yeah, that's every single Xbox conference. Well, not every single one, but most of them.
And Sony's this year too, except for the Kojima, But that was, we need to have that. But
that was important.
Yeah, but who do we want as president of gaming?
President of gaming?
Well, we all don't want Peter Molyneux because that's going to be a whole bunch of broken promises.
Yeah, he would have been the Hillary
Clinton,
to
make
right?
every video game world even more realistic than it was before.
Yeah. Yeah, we could make that would be an interesting question. Somebody asks, who are some analogs? But we're not talking about analogs.
Okay, but so is it like we're the one like video gaming president we want, or the one that because of if it worked like our U.S. government?
No, I wouldn't want it to work that way. No. I would think the guy who would make video gaming great again would be Gabe Newell. Make him the president of video gaming. This man took PC gaming to a whole new level with Steam, man.
Gabe Newell would deport anyone that owned a PS4 and an
Xbox. There are a lot of allegories.
He already did build a wall, see.
Hardcore redneck, so.
Yeah. I could have too much fun with this shit, man.
No, that would be like, yeah, because you could say who's the figurehead of the most divisive, hateful group in gaming? Well, that'd be PC Master Race, and then it'd have to be Gabe.
Yeah, that is true.
Because they, as much as we get down on Xbox people for being antagonistic, holy shit, you guys are a whole lot better than PC Master Race people. Oh yeah, like it's kind of okay. PC Master Race has this weird thing where it used to be an inside joke to like call people who played consoles peasants, right? and it's just a joke that's been around for so long that some people aren't really aware that it's kind of sarcasm and it's a joke, and it came out of like, let us help you ascend to the master race, let us show you the way. And it kind of got turned on its head to, well, since you haven't done this thing, you're a peon and you're a dirt peasant, and go play on your little dirt box and have fun with your potato. It's the most toxic gaming community I've seen.
Well,
And,
no,
but let's not get off too much off topic because we got a lot of shit to cover tonight. I can't really answer this one. I guess we'll just go for Gabe Newell just cause.
well, I just broke down why Gabe Newell. I'm not going off on a tangent here.
No, because he was about to go into a tangent about
no, that was it.
Or scumbags.
No, I didn't say they were scumbags. All I said was like the most toxic community I know is the PC Master Race, and Gabe Newell would be the figurehead of said group. So
you need to get to know the Xbox fan base, man.
What's that?
Yeah, Xbox guys are worse than PC gamers, man. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna say like a quick thing about that, Like, yeah, PC gamers are elitist and smug about what they have, but at least they don't lie perpetually to the whole community about stuff they can and can't do.
Yo, okay, I need to go off on a tangent. Did you guys see this picture that's circulating?
No, Tony, wait. Damn it, Tony. I had that in the bag there.
Okay, I didn't finish.
At least I don't burn consoles for no reason.
Yeah, fucking God. Did you guys see this picture? Jeez. So some guy, he says, I bought a PS4 and it already started overheating. And it's clear that he just burned it from the outside. The part that he said was too hot, there's no heat in that part of the console. It's at the front of the console. There's no heat there. So he burned his shit just to, just to burn the Sony guys, quote unquote. Fucking stupid. So PC guys, they could be elitist pricks, but they're not like Xbox, man. Xbox are the fucking worst, Like as far as like maliciousness goes.
I'm not. Yeah, we're not talking on the value, and I'm afraid people are thinking that I'm just saying that all PC people are shitheads by the way that you're acting to this. I'm not talking about good people. I'm not talking about bad people. I'm simply talking about the community that looks down their nose the hardest at another community.
And okay, from that standpoint, I see what you're coming at. Oh, by the way,
and that's the best allegory I can make to the Trump voter base is or at least the idea of the Trump voter base is this group of people that are acting out of disdain for another group of people. So that's the narrative. And so
okay, but the same could be said about Hillary too. Like the liberals and their disdain for everybody that isn't one of them. That's a whole other topic,
No, it absolutely is. Like I think trying to answer this question with the whole like as America currently works is what makes this question hard. So can we just make it a little bit happier and say who would we like to be president?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, who would we want?
So who's the equivalent of Bernie Sanders
in the gaming industry?
Ooh, I don't know. Who's a small developer who made it big?
CD
by the way,
not Sean Murray. I'll say that.
Yeah, not Sean Murray. You know who would win the presidency, right? Because he's everywhere. Fucking Jeff Keighley probably would. Because he's milk toast. Everybody is okay with him.
Well, he's already the Doritos Pope, so
yeah.
And remember, in some ages, the Pope had a lot of power over the king.
I'd vote Miyazaki personally.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Miyazaki.
Manny, does that mean?
Do I have to say Kojima-san?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
I don't want any of these idiots in charge, to be honest.
Oh, come on! Like Miyazaki, like he hasn't really made a bad game that I'm aware of.
What about Hayao Miyazaki? I forgot.
Yeah, he's back, by the way. We
knew he was going to be back.
Yeah,
seriously.
Hey, how about
as an artist, you never retire. You say you're going to retire, but it never's going to happen. Okay, go ahead.
Fuck that! I'm going to run for a gaming president. I'll clean this shit up. Me. I'm picking myself. I'm a write-in ballot.
So you're basically Johnson.
Yes, damn right. And that's who I voted for, people. So stop
you're
doing shit.
You're gonna remove all microtransactions as part of your pledge?
Yep. That would be fantastic. Yep, I'm going to do
I'll vote
that.
for
No
you.
microtransactions. Everybody goes to college for free. All that shit.
I'd love to hear that in a gaming pledge. Like, from here on, all tutorial levels will be free and no
my
longer
God.
DLC. You're like, wait a minute.
Ooh, that's gonna be my shit. No more DLC, no more microtransactions. Games work on day one. No more day one patches. That's my slogan, man.
You know what we actually need, and I hate to say it like this, but we need this kind of we need a consumer regulatory agency made of independent people that actually like think about Nintendo's seal of approval back in the day. Wouldn't it be
bullshit,
nice?
by the way?
Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody who followed developers and their promises and things like that, and upon reaching a certain standard, they gave you a seal or something like that? And this was agreed upon by enough people that it would actually help to drive game sales. Like if you got, a gamer silver star on the front of your box, people can buy your game with relative, authority that your DLC season pass isn't going to be a bullshit piece of crap, and that your game is going to be able to be pre-ordered. Suddenly you're only seeing gold star games or gold star developers getting pre-orders, and people like Ubisoft who get a terrible rating, their pre-orders drop. Like, I'd actually kind of like to see that. Am I getting fascist here?
Yeah,
You want control?
That again, I'm not trying to get too into that stuff, but yeah, that borders on like kind of like Nintendo when they're like, hey, when you say seal of approval, I think about Nintendo seal of approval and how that fucked up a lot of shit. I don't know if we want to go through that again.
Fuck up a lot of shit. It almost single-handedly saved the gaming industry.
It did screw up a lot of things. For number one, it was just a placebo. It meant absolutely nothing. Number
you still
two,
got shit games.
you still got shit games.
Of third-party shovelware that was so crap it was flooding the market.
Are you forgetting how much shitty shovelware was for the original Nintendo?
No, I'm just saying that the ones
and they all had seals of approval too.
Yeah, but the games that didn't were awful.
There were games that were awful that had the seal of approval on it too.
And then you would have to create ultra games and shit because you can release a certain amount of games every year and that stuff. Like no, we don't want that shit.
Nintendo were a bunch of Nazis when it came to their console.
Yeah, exactly.
No, and that's why
they would always ship you a certain amount.
Again, that's why I said it'd have to be a third party thing. But I'd like to see we're putting fucking Twitter quotes on the front of game boxes right now, but you're telling me that you can't have a consumer advocacy group whose reward would go on they have it for cars. Like why can't you have an award?
Okay, as long as it's not like a mandate, you know what I mean? Like,
no, it's not a mandate. It would be an independent organization that rates games and developers based upon their track record, and that would help people keep track of developers who constantly break promises, developers who sell you shitty season passes and then cancel a DLC on you, developers who load their games with microtransactions. For the uneducated audience, it would be a nice way to look at it and see the kind of the equivalent of the Better Business Bureau. Like, this is a good developer that makes good games, or this is a company who constantly makes highly rated DLC. So you can feel confident buying the season pass as opposed to being like, oh well, I know I'm going to get something. It just may be crap. Like I'd love to see an independent organization, and maybe it's just that we don't have maybe that's what IGN was supposed to be in a perfect world or something like that. But none of that ever got to. But I don't think it could be. I almost feel like it would have to be like a non-for-profit thing.
Yeah, it would have to be. But anyway, so I want to move on to the next question. Again, we got a lot of questions tonight. Okay, from Ikagu Raven, how may Trump being elected affect the gaming industry? Very interesting question. It's a good question.
To be honest, I don't think he would have that much to say about the gaming industry. I think Hillary would have, though. She's done it before.
I can see that. Yeah.
Remember, as senator, she wanted to actually have game stores look like gun stores. She wanted games to be locked behind gates. She wanted these weird restrictions. She was on board with Lieberman back when he. Remember when he did the whole trials? Remember the Mortal Kombat stuff? So when she became senator, she was talking about really restricting video games.
Yeah, so I
Also-
don't think he's going to do much. Maybe he'll tell the industry make more games where you grab women by the pussy. I don't know, but
No.
I really don't see him doing
Pleasant
it.
byproduct. He will create so much outrage by himself that the spotlight will be shifted off of games, and people will actually be able to make things without worrying quite so much. Like,
Oh, shit, I didn't think about that, dude.
Water. Like we're talking about the president grabbing people by the pussy now. Are you really that concerned that this costume is too busty? And then people are like, no, I got other shit to worry about over here, actually.
Yo, he just appointed some white supremacist guy to his cabinet too. I'm like, okay, maybe he'll keep like the spotlight off games because he's gonna be doing crazy shit, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really see like any negative impact from gaming. If it was Hillary, yes, there would be a very big negative impact, you know? She'd probably censor all of them, you know? Trump, he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, unless he bounds to some weird bullshit right-wing super religious constituent out of fucking nowhere. Like, unless some fucking congressman wants to come through and do some backdoor handshake deal where he gets a law passed,
Yeah,
because he's up on his conservative religious high horse. Like, you could see something come from the underbelly of the Republican Party. It wouldn't be unfeasible.
You wouldn't have to go that far. I mean, just as long as Mike Pence doesn't discover that there are video games, they should be fine.
yeah.
Because this guy wants to ban pornography. I remember he wanted to do that.
Shit.
So, like,
Yeah.
maybe he's too old. Maybe he doesn't understand what these plastic boxes do. So let's hope he doesn't learn.
Yeah. There are
Yeah,
still
but,
enemies of video games in the Republican side, so it could still surface. But honestly, I hate to say this, but video games face more opposition from the Democratic side of the aisle generally.
Oh yeah, that's just a fact. You know, look at Lieberman, Hillary, that Wu guy, whatever his name was, always Democrats. Very interesting. But Chris, I want your take on this specifically. I actually sent Chris this question like a few days ago because I wanted him to research this shit because he's really into it. So, what do you think about this?
Oh, I honestly don't think Trump will affect the video game market. Like I said, he's not looking at that stuff, like things like media. He's been in media. As a matter of fact, he before he spoke about that he was against the AT&T merger, right? Buying up, getting Warner Brothers and all of Time Warner's properties. So I think in terms of that, in terms of gaming and media and entertainment, he would leave that stuff alone because he's been part of it. So I wouldn't worry about too much. Like I said, I would worry about a guy like Mike Pence getting his fucking his pretty white head all messed up over video games. Considering I've seen what this guy wanted to propose in Indiana, and he really wanted to ban pornography. I'm like, you need to settle down, buddy. So I would worry more about him, but he's VP, so he'll go around and smile and give speeches, and maybe he'll be quiet. But for the most part, Trump is a guy from entertainment and media. I don't think he would touch it. I don't think he would affect it.
Then, not to mention some of those guys at at the top of these bigger video game companies, they could easily be like, no, we're buds, right?
Yeah, well, same goes for net neutrality. Like, Trump's probably not great for net neutrality, but Hillary, she was in the pocket of everybody against us on net neutrality. So it's tough to say, but it's like if you were literally fighting the devil, and then something happened, and you got a new opponent. You're like, oh, you worried this guy's going to be worse? Not really. Just because what's the worst going to happen? They're going to be as bad as the last guy. And that's
I like what Subgata said. He goes, if climate change isn't a problem for the GOP, then games are of no concern. That's a fact.
Yeah, yep. There are very few things that you can say blank about Trump doesn't really concern me. Video games are one of them. So let's put a lid on that pot.
By the way, I need to make a quick joke about Mike Pence because I've seen this as a meme. It kills me every time I see it. So it's a picture of him in the Senate, he's looking stern, and he goes, "Why does it always look like Pence is about to pass the the Mutant Registration Act?" Because he looks like Senator Kelly.
Oh man,
it's hilarious.
That man is just living life insurance for Trump.
Yeah, that's what they said that's what they said in the comments. Because like, if you assassinate Trump,
That guy.
Ooh, that guy's scary,
that guy.
man. He just motherfucker. Again, not to get into politics, but the shit he wants to do to gay people, I'm like, yo, you don't want this motherfucker as president. You know, crazy shit. All right. Anything else? Anything else you guys want to say about this before we move on?
No.
I'm gonna take that as a no. So let's move on here. Young bastard. First question. This is a funny one. Has the term casual gamer become a derogatory term? Yeah, like 20 years ago.
Where are you? You must be in a time warp or something.
Yeah, but let's be honest though. When did we actually start hearing it as an like actual derogatory term? I would say around the early 2000s when I really started hearing it being
when
used.
the mobile stuff started coming around. Yeah.
Nah.
Even before mobile, we've heard the term casual gamer. You know,
because mobile got big in the mid 2000s.
Yeah. Like me personally, I started hearing it like in the, I guess, late 90s, early 2000s. But when did you guys first hear it?
Dude, it was
a derogatory term.
I'm pretty sure it originated in Warcraft, and the reason being is that Warcraft made the distinction in the player base when you were looking to do an instance where you're looking to do end game stuff, which typically takes hours on end. You would tell people whether you were a hardcore gamer or a casual gamer, and that's when people kind of really wanted to define it as you play X amount of hours per week or you don't play X amount of hours per week. And this mattered in these dungeon running things because you would only get into certain guilds if you were a hardcore gamer. They wouldn't want casuals. You would only run certain instances or raids with certain hardcore players. You wouldn't necessarily do it with casuals. Or if you did it with casual players, it would be an organized event where people know that casual players are going to be there. The key point being you're not expected to know exactly what's going on, because remember, a lot of Blizzard's games are based off of time spent. So no matter your skill level, unless you're familiar with the content, it makes it infinitely harder to beat it. So it then went from there to, we're running a raid on blank, no casuals, or somebody gets killed and you blame it on the fucking casual. And from there, I think it kind of bled outwards into the mainstream and became a derogatory term for anybody who doesn't know what they're doing in a group-oriented video game. And it then further, delineated from there to just being an umbrella derogatory term, I think. I'm 90% positive.
I definitely think that sounds very close to it. But you know what? I always used to use that as a gauge for how much I actually play the games. But the thing is that in no way am I a noob at playing games. I just always thought of it as like, well, I don't play. I always considered somebody like Tony or my cousin Adam as more hardcore gamers because they often played a lot of games.
Well,
For me, I
where
just played like, I didn't have a lot of games. I was always, I always had, very little time to do things, especially as I got older, after I got into college, after I got in college and stuff like, after I got out of college and became part of the working force and stuff like that. But even before that, I never played nearly as many games or as many hours as either Tony did or Adam did.
Well, that's what it used to mean. And like I said, I think it became associated with being derogatory when the concept of being a casual gamer became associated with being derogatory. Like before that, it was okay if you didn't play that many video games. Like you didn't have you didn't have to be the guy who was the best at Donkey Kong. But now when you're playing with a group of people and the stakes of whether, you've put into place this Pavlovian reward, whether if they succeed, the brain's going to release dopamine and oxytocin and all these rewarding chemicals that the brain is naturally addicted to. If they fail, the brain will not release these things and will instead release stress hormones. So they are literally gambling the enjoyment of their Friday night on their ability to complete this task. So suddenly you have somebody who, if they lower your chances to complete this task, they become a direct antagonist to you. They're directly standing in the way of your brain releasing that reward response. And that's all, subconscious stuff, but that's how it works. And what that registers as is anger towards this guy who doesn't play the game as much as you do. And from there, you have everything that you need to eventually distill that down into a derogatory term. But it made sense in context. Like, and that's the weird thing. Even when it started, like, you tell people like, yeah, man, I'm I know this is end game content. My gear isn't that bad. It isn't that great. I'm a casual. And that, I think the dividing mark was whether you play more or less than 20 hours a week in general. So I thought if you played less than 20 hours, you were regarded as casual. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that until you got these people who took Warcraft way too fucking seriously. And that whole culture bled over into MOBAs. All those assholes went to MOBAs.
And I also think, Shinatsky said in the comments, I think add the Warcraft stuff with the Wii shit. The Wii really divided gamers. Like, okay, here's this set of gamers, and then there's these set of quote unquote gamers. That also helped with that. It's like, oh, Wii is for the casuals. It's like grandma and little kids, they're not hardcore, so that also helped with this whole thing as well, So I guess, the early 2000s, mid 2000s, when this shit really, really got going, So it's not a new thing at all. All right, moving on here. Will Final Fantasy 15 return the series to glory? If they fix that fucking camera, maybe. Shit, man. I played the fucking latest demo. I actually had to use a Japanese account, right? It was the best demo I've played for the game, but still those camera issues persisted. Like, how hard is it to center the camera on the main character, to not have all this chaos going around, So we'll see. It's too early to tell right now,
Before we proceed, and it's gonna sound like a dig, and I don't mean it to, but I'm okay if it does. Define glory.
Like the older Final Fantasies, I guess.
Which ones?
I'm gonna say, I guess, Final Fantasy 1 through 10.
Ooh, that's a wide margin.
Let me add that the two most influential Final Fantasy games were both directed by the same director. 3 and 4. And excuse me, 4 and what was it, 6?
Yeah, 4 and 6.
4 and 6
was like 3
and
for
Chrono
us.
Trigger, by the way, same guy.
Mm-hmm. No, they had a great. I don't think anybody's gonna argue Final Fantasy was amazing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that right about there is where most of the arguments. Like, I don't have many arguments with people being like, Final Fantasy really lost its way after 5. Like, what? No, nobody says that. Like, they hit. Everybody agrees they hit their high point at pretty much 6 and 7.
Okay, you know what? For the sake of this argument, let's go with the glory days of Final Fantasy were Final Fantasy 1 through 7 for the purposes of this question.
Oh,
right?
Then hell no.
Then hell no. Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
If we're talking, can they get back to Final Fantasy 9 days? Maybe.
Or Final Fantasy 10, which is more recent for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy 10 I still think was a pretty. I think that was the lower bar. Like, I think Final Fantasy has just been going steadily downhill since 9. I would say since 7, because 8 was a heaping dumpster fire.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 8,
9,
yeah, 8 was fucking.
It was garbage.
terrible. 9 was pretty good. I feel like 10 started. I feel like 10 was below 9 in my personal opinion, and they just kind of gotten worse since then.
10 was still good.
It was still good, but it wasn't as good as 9. It was better than 8, but it was nowhere near the first 7.
Me personally, I still think 10 was the last great Final Fantasy. After that, not the series not up to.
Man, you didn't like what was it, 12?
I love 12, but it wasn't touching Final Fantasy 10. Just being honest. But yeah, the short answer is no. It's not gonna bring back the shit to the glory. JRPGs in general are pretty much done in the West. No one cares anymore.
And I'm not too optimistic about this game even being good.
We'll see, man. There's a lot of shit wrong with this game. There's a lot of shit I'm happy about because every time I played the demos, I played except for that second one, which like 30 minutes. I played for a very long time. I still enjoyed it because I like Final Fantasy. I'm the guy who like all the Final Fantasy 13 games, right? I like Final Fantasy, but at the same time, it doesn't give you that feel of the old ones, man. It really doesn't.
Listen, man. I stopped playing Final Fantasy after 10. I feel like every single one of them just weren't real. I mean, I just don't see anything about the characters that I enjoy. I don't see anything that interests me. Not that same interest, because I feel like every single one of these Final Fantasy games, they're all looking the same. I mean, when Brett says that they're going downhill, I don't feel like I think they did go downhill after 10, because every single game after 10 literally looks like a somewhat slightly different version of 10.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They lost all their artistic identity after 6 was so good. 6 was so good, and 7 definitely had its own thing going on. They lost it. I just don't. And here's my beef. I think that they need to revitalize the JRPG genre. And JRPGs, and I still maintain this, one of their qualifying characteristics was they bumped a lot of visuals out of low graphical power by doing things in kind of a menu setting. So if you're going to kind of keep that same menu setting, you're going to keep that kind of deep RPG kind of thing, then expand in other areas. I would love to see a Final Fantasy, even if I were still limited to turn-based, a Final Fantasy where there were 200 different endings, where I could write my own epic based on how I played the game. And if I needed to make a whole bunch of concessions, say graphical power, open world, the things that I'm already used to giving up for a JRPG, you could expand my gaming world beyond what I ever thought possible. You could make a write-your-own-adventure game in the theme of Final Fantasy VII that could have a 40-hour playthrough and then 200 replays. You could create an entirely new kind of game and break the system. Instead, you homogenize it and turn it vanilla and be like, well, it could be more closer to Devil May Cry. Like, you already have a system in which people are willing to accept these limitations. Take this as an opportunity to expand further. Like, I see no reason why a turn-based RPG should be limited to a closed-off branching world. I understand that you don't need to make it like fucking open-world GTA or anything like that, but you have enough power to give us other options. The genre doesn't need to be dead. It just needs to be revitalized. That's the end of my rant. I'm done.
All right. Let's move on here. Last question. Will The Last Guardian be worth the wait?
Who can say?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I'm going to say this. Who can say? And then, to be honest, I think The Last Guardian is going to be exactly what you sort of expect from the Team Ico. And
yeah,
I don't know.
I can't for what it is, you know.
And I can't say that you will enjoy it, because there are a lot of people who didn't enjoy the Shadow of the Colossus. There are a lot of people that didn't enjoy Eco either. So I'm just going to say, take whatever as what it is. Take what they give you as what it is, because I'll tell you one thing: it'll most definitely be different.
Well, okay, let me ask you this: are the videos, the trailers that are up on PlayStation's store, representational of the game that we're going to get?
That's a good question.
Because they look like shit.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm not even saying like the gameplay or anything like that. I mean, graphically, they look awful. I mean, fucking Wii bad. Like, this game looks horribly dated unless they've gone and put some spit shine on this. So before I open my big fat mouth, like, the shit that am I seeing dated trailers, or is the game actually going to look as rough as it does in these things?
No, I think that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, this game was developed like from the PS3 days, so I doubt that they redesigned the whole like graphics part of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Not to get too into it, but I don't agree with that sentiment at all. It looks fine to me.
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it either. I think that it looks fine. I don't think it looks on the level of Uncharted.
Yeah,
it's supposed
to be a stylized game. It's not supposed to be fucking Uncharted or any of these other high fidelity games.
I'm not even talking about that. The level and difference of detail between the creature and the protagonist is fucking staggering. It's not even the same art style.
Yeah, like he's more cel shaded.
Yeah, he's simplified. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that they've been developing the creature after they got most of the artwork on.
No, well, it actually kind of looked like that from the beginning. The original trailer was the same way, where the kid was somewhat cell shaded, and the creature was like almost like slightly realistic looking.
Yeah.
So it's not that different from what it was before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like there's like a wide art discrepancy in some of these pictures. Like even in the background. Like here, I don't know.
Toss it in there, man. I'll toss it in the chat too. See what they say.
I'm getting a screen error on the.
Uh-oh.
God damn it.
Oh well. All right, I want to move on.
Yeah,
you know, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know what the game is going to be like, but I do know that I liked what I've seen so far, and I liked what they liked in the past. You know, I may have just made the worst mistake in my life. That happens. I'm not gonna sell you. I can't sell you on a game that I haven't played yet.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm sold on the game based on the information that I've seen.
Yeah, my thing is like, listen, I like the other two games. I'm gonna go for this one. That's all I need. You know, Team Eco, let's go.
Okay, I don't think that it will be worth the wait. I think it will just not live up to expectations, because at this point in time, it's like one of those games where people have just talked about it like so much, and they have unrealistic expectations of the game, and it will let them down, which I think is a shame, because I think that the game was going to be good, but I think it's just spent way too long in development, and people have talked about it way too much to the point where they have put it above what it is, and they expect it to be like way better than it will be.
So you think it's going to be another?
I agree.
You think it's going to be another Prey situation?
I agree with Brian on that one. I think for a lot of people,
I think just No Man's Sky, it was like people have just talked about it way too much, and then they expect it just to be like way too good than what it will be. Like it'll be like a good game. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think that people like really understand what the game is. Like people just understand The Last Guardian as, hey, that game that everyone's talking about because it hasn't come out yet, and the game that everyone wants to get because it's like one of the big exclusives. But yet they don't really know what the game is about, and then they'll just buy it and then be like, oh, this game is not what I thought.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think you're right. Some people probably put too much hype into it, so they're going to be very disappointed. You know, my thing is like, I'm just going in there with I was like, I just want to play Team Eco game. I don't know if it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Who knows? I do expect it to be a throwback type of game, even with the controls too. Like it's going to be a very kind of old game, so I'm already preparing myself for that. I'm not expecting a modern 2016 game, gameplay wise, you know. But we'll see. But let's move on.
Last thing, and then move on. Yeah. Brett, the art style, I totally agree with you. It's one of the things that's like really putting me off the game. Like I can't like just get it through my head that these like the character and the guy have like two different art styles. It's kind of just like annoying the crap out of me.
All right.
Yeah, so that's just like the small thing. Just the small things. Like how can you have,
All right. Last thing. Then I want to move on. God damn it. All right, Brett, go ahead. Last thing, then we'll move on.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I've read several articles saying like, that this game looks like a PS3 game, or it looks like a game from 2009, and I feel like that's going to be a problem. I feel like people are anticipating a highly polished Sony exclusive, and when they come out with this game, people are going to be mad, or the Xbox fans are going to be pointing at this game and be like, what the fuck is this? This is the big shiny exclusive that we've been talking about for years. Like I think a lot of people haven't even played Team Ico games, and they're just kind of riding the hype wave, and I think there's going to be a lot of problems.
The last Team Ico game that came out was in 2006, which was Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
I doubt too many people that are playing right now have played that game.
Oh, man, that's a fact. Because they never even like remastered it for PS4.
So it's literally 10 years.
Yeah, off. 10 years. 10 years. Man.
So I mean, it means that like most of the people, like people that are like some of the people that might have just jumping. Some people might just be jumping on the hype train because it's been out there for long enough. You know,
Other people are jumping on the hype train because it's a big PlayStation exclusive, and big PlayStation exclusive usually means really high production, like really well done game, not small niche game where you have to forgive graphics that look like they're from 2010
or 2006 in this case. All right. Next up here is Kai Haku. I don't know if this is the first timer. I don't know this name. So thank you for submitting your questions. So he goes, in a different take on the Wii U postmortem, what compelling dual screen gaming experiences did Nintendo fail to deliver on the Wii U? For example, I expected them to release something that used that secondary screen for strategy purposes. Think Battalion Wars, Fire Emblem, or Star Fox Command. Okay, so
here's the thing. They put that idea out there for you guys. Like, in other words, that was one of the demos they demonstrated of, oh, hey, you can do all these different things on the control pad. But you know what? I think in general, what the biggest problem with them is they didn't know how to implement this thing into these games without it being some sort of stupid menu system.
Well, that's pretty poor considering they're the ones who promised it, right? They never implemented any of it. Think about it. Okay, so you got Mario Kart, right? You have this gamepad, you're racing on the screen. Why the hell isn't there a map showing you player positions, right?
Yep.
Or something like that. And then there was a couple of things they demoed that never got realized on the beginning of the Wii U. I forgot what it was. Did they do that drawing thing? That never happened.
I don't think the drawing thing happened.
I gotta look that up. I don't quote me on that, but I don't think that ever got realized. And both the great Fire Emblem games ended up on 3DS. So I don't know what they were displaying that for. The strategy games ended up on 3DS and never ended up on Wii U.
Yeah. So what type of games do you think they missed out on, or what type of opportunities they missed out on?
This is a little tough. I don't own a Wii U, so I'm like thinking just off the top.
Yeah, well, this is tough for me because I don't give a shit.
Well, there's that too. I'm like, they did all that dual screen stuff. They really realized it on 3DS, but they never brought that stuff to the Wii U. The Wii U, really on a TV, you didn't need this dual screen experience. What it should have been, and I think Manny mentioned this a long time ago, it should have been paired with the 3DS, and that should have been the dual screen experience. And they never did it. It never got realized. And they made this wacky gamepad, and they were still hooked to motion controls.
Yeah, it's like, hey, look, we got all these two gimmicks put in here. Why don't we put them together? No, bad idea.
Don't do that.
It's like we just made you a giant 3DS. Don't you want this? No, I already have a 3DS. Or a DS.
I don't know. Does anyone care? Let's just be honest. Does anyone care about this? Because I'm sensing a lot of just in the room right now.
If you want a postmortem, here it is. The Wii U was a failure.
Again, they couldn't implement any of the things that they put out in any of their funky sizzle videos, which they're probably going to do again.
Before you get mad, remember Miyamoto himself said this when they asked him about F-Zero, and he said we don't have the right control scheme to realize F-Zero right now, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, even they knew the gamepad was too gimmicky for its own good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, let's move on. I don't want to talk about Wii U anymore. All right. Next question. Okay, I consider local multiplayer one of the few advantages that consoles still hold over PCs. This generation, I've seen it claimed a lot that Nintendo's Wii U is king on this front. But aside from a few highlights like Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, I think that Nintendo has actually done a surprisingly rubbish job unless you really love platformers and or party games with weird controls. From what I've seen, the PS4 and Xbox One have quite a number of high-quality games with 4-player local multiplayer. Do you have any recommendations? And he goes, which console do you think actually rules the roost this generation when it comes to local multiplayer? This is a tricky question because I from my perspective, I thought this shit was already dead. Local multiplayer.
Can I just stop you before you even go any further? But who says that the PC has no local multiplayer games?
Oh, shots fired.
Because
did he
I'm
say that?
sorry, I'm on PC. I see tons of games with local multiplayer. It's not like developers like make games and it's like, hey, this game is on console. Hey, let's have local multiplayer, and this game's on PC. No local multiplayer. Like the thing's there, bro. Like just go to Steam, have like a quick look, and it's there. Like games like Trine's there, Magicka's there. The one after Magicka, the one with the guns, is there. Like games are games. They have local multiplayer. Like it's a thing. It's not like it's a thing on PC. Like just that no one talks about it because not many people do it.
Yeah, not many people do it. I mean, when's the last time you're gonna have your buddies over like, hey, let's play some what's it on local multiplayer in my screen in my office.
But think about like when I think of local multiplayer, I think about fighting games, right?
Yeah.
You think about Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all that stuff. That stuff is all on PC too. Like Brian's right. Brian, I mean, PC has a ton of local multiplayer games.
Dude,
like
just yesterday, my boy Anthony came over. Right, we were playing Sega Genesis classics on PC with controllers. At the same time. Yeah,
you're playing console games, and then somebody could jump in and be like, "But you're playing a console game."
But it's still on PC though.
Okay,
still PC.
A game originally made for a console on a PC.
All right, I see what you're saying.
Just have a quick look at all the games, or at most of the games that do have it, because there's actually like a search option. These include Rocket League, WWE 2K16, Gang Beast, Party Hard, Ultimate Chicken Horse, NBA 2K17, Lego Worlds, Brawlhalla, wherever that is, Tabletop Simulator, Broforce, Castle Crashers, 20XX, Mortal Kombat, Battle Block Theater, N++, Sonic All Stars, Trine 1 and 2. I'm guessing that Trine 3 as well. Divinity Original Sin, which came out on PC first, so that's not even a console game. That's a PC port off. No, it's a PC port. Guacamelee, like there's 122 pages of split screen shared multiplayer games. So it's a thing.
Yeah, like if Brian came in with that.
Brian was like, "What you talking about, listener?"
Like, I'll screenshot this, like if he wants me to. Like it's like I have no problem with that.
Well, so I think Brian has the right answer. Like if he's talking about the platform with the most options and the best options is PC. But if he's eliminating PC from this question because he only mentioned this generation of consoles, then the question becomes more difficult. But if you were to say any platform, then it's PC.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what big games? I mean, like he said, Rocket League. That's on console too.
But that's it's multiplat though.
Yeah, it is.
So it's Madden, so it's FIFA.
Yeah, I don't know. But so there are. Let's just stick with multiplayer because there are like no real exclusives that have like a local multiplayer like that. I think Gears of War does. Yeah, Gears of War does.
Yeah. So would that tilt it to Xbox then? Because Gears
maybe
is good. It's really good local co-op, and
it has. Ain't got that shit. I don't know. What else?
Shit. I don't know. I'm thinking. I mean, there's tons of fighting games on both systems.
Yeah, there you go. Fighting games.
PS4 has Street Fighter 5. That's still exclusive, and Xbox has Killer Instinct. I mean, there's the racing games. I mean, Xbox has Forza, but Gran Turismo is going to come out. I don't know. There's just a lot of in betweens.
Yeah, whenever the new Street Fighter comes out, man, you want to play that local multiplayer because that shit ain't gonna have lobbies.
Yeah, bullshit, But yeah, like I don't know, like for me personally, I'm not a local multiplayer yet, just because all my friends moved away, so I don't even think about that shit. I don't know. There's something there, but I know people have complained that there aren't enough games with local multiplayer these days. That's been a big complaint, not only of this generation but last generation too.
It's interesting because that question to me would have been relevant like almost 20 years ago. Because that's when I used to play local multiplayer. But like right now, I assume that everyone right now and the new generations of gamers like all play in their rooms online with their friends. So it's
exactly.
It's interesting. Like that local co-op or local multiplayer is still kind of a thing. Because we used to
Yeah, some people are very vocal about it. It's like, yo, I want it. I want it. All right, I guess that's enough of that. All right, next question here. All right, I've been thinking about this as the Final Fantasy VII remaster approaches. I actually find the original Final Fantasy VII pretty hard to play anymore, but last year I was surprised by how playable the even older A Link to the Past still is. This is a fun question. Okay, what classics is the industry producing currently? That is, what influential current games can you see yourself revisiting decades from now and enjoying it just as well without them receiving a remaster?
I already got Brett and Chris's answer.
Yes, Dark Souls. Dark Souls, Bloodborne. I need the Souls games. Yes, I would play this when I'm 70 and be like, "Hey, I'm older. I still like it."
I would say Gravity Rush.
Really? You consider that a classic?
I don't consider it a classic, but I consider it a game that I can play over again.
Okay, but I'm going to revise the question as what games are out now do you think are modern classics that will be considered classics in the future?
Out now?
Yes, current games. Exactly.
I can't say anything. I can't say anything out right now is a classic. I'll even say I don't even think Metal Gear Solid 5 is a classic.
No, it's not.
Well, we're strictly talking this generation, right?
Let's stick with this generation specifically, yeah. Because if we go back to last gen, maybe we'll find a couple, But yeah, this generation specifically, I don't see any. I don't know.
Any. You know what? Maybe you could say Shadow of Mordor.
But it's only here's the thing about Shadow of Mordor, right? Aside from the fact that it has like the only mechanic that's actually current gen, the actual game is just generic.
All right.
I wouldn't consider that a classic.
And the selling point is like what is it? The Nemesis system?
Yeah, that's what
I'm pretty sure 20 years from now there's going to be something that's going to destroy that.
Yeah,
somebody hasn't done it yet, man. I'll tell you that.
I know. Well, because it's hard, but you're right. Somebody's going to actually do it and do it, really, really well. So no, I can't consider. Yeah, this generation has barely produced any like good games for this generation, let alone classics.
Yeah, well, because I can't really say that I can't really say anything that's out is really classic. I can say there is some replay value, but I couldn't say like, oh my god, this is the game changer.
Yeah.
A lot of this is the problem. A lot of the games that are out now is pretty much the problem with the industry, where they're not really innovating on anything. They're just kind of rehashing.
You tell me No Man's Sky is not a classic? You're right. They're just rehashing shit.
I could say that No Man's Sky can inspire a classic. I feel like that somebody taking that idea, the procedural universe, taking that idea and really shining that thing to a glass sheen. I could see somebody using that as an inspiration, but I can't consider that in a classic.
Yeah, man. No, this is a tough question. I don't think anything that's been produced in the last 3 years qualifies as a classic.
Yeah, a lot of the games that we have now, they're just they're all pretty much iteratives of other things that exist.
Yeah, they're all sequels. Like
they're all sequels. They're all in the same genre. I mean, you're playing Watch Dogs 2 right now. Really, What is that? It's just essentially you could say it's Grand Theft Auto with parkour in it. You could say it's it's Assassin's Creed with guns. It really doesn't do anything different.
It really doesn't, man. Like all the games that are out now, they seem to be made just to fill in orders. Like, okay, we need this. It's disposable, basically. They're not really made to be classics like that.
Do you guys remember what your game of the year was last year? Was it Metal Gear?
Yeah, Metal Gear. That's not a classic, though.
No. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think you have to go back 10 years so I could actually find a classic. Like, I think Shadow of the Colossus is a classic,
Gears of War 2. I mean, God of War 2.
God of War, I don't know. I would say God of War 1 is not 2. 2 was the one, that's my least favorite of the series.
Yeah, same here.
Really?
Yep.
Over God of War, what was that?
3?
Ascension.
Oh no, I don't. That game doesn't exist. That game doesn't.
God of War
exist.
Ascension doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, but I agree because like even the PSP games are really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're fantastic. Man.
I mean, I mean, I say that friggin' Journey is a classic. You know, I say that you know, because again, that game did, you know, granted it with its simplicity, it still did things that other games did not do.
I consider
It wasn't just
Bioshock-
you could say, yeah, BioShock, the first BioShock. I can even say BioShock Infinite is it could be a debatable classic.
yeah.
No,
Just
no,
because of
no,
the-
no, it's
Brian.
I know, but just because of the way the narratives and stuff like that, not exactly the gameplay. You know, the gameplay is, you know, run of the mill, like shoot the shit out of everybody, waves and waves of people that run at you. You know. But I feel story wise it was.
Last of Us is a classic.
Last of Us,
But again,
like,
last gen. This gen ain't shit.
I feel like Last of Us is a classic too.
You know what? I'd see people going back and playing like, well, not I don't know if servers will be on in 20, 30 years, but the single player, something like Titanfall 2, which is doing something that I haven't seen in games, which is like not since old NES games where you get out of a bigger machine and you have a little pilot and you can do stuff, and then you have to do stuff as a human and then get in this big mech and do stuff. Like,
wait, are you just saying that they just remade Blaster Master?
It's Blaster Master, but this gen, but that's fun. Like, you could go back and play Blaster Master and have fun with that mechanic, right? And now that mechanic has grown up and is in Titanfall 2, and I think that's what makes it compelling. So that may be something that would be considered a classic.
Yeah, but yeah, very little this gen, man. This gen.
I like to call that game Titanfall 1.
Yes.
Titanfall 1 was just the beta.
Yeah.
Basically, you know. All right. Anybody else? Classics that we have? It's a very tough one. Brian, you got nothing?
Generation.
not really.
My like some of my game of the years this year, like nominees would be like Battlefield 1 and Gears 4, but those aren't nowhere near like classics, man.
What about that space? Well, I guess that space game is not done yet.
No Man's Citizen.
Not No Man's Sky, the other one.
Star
The other
Citizen.
one. Star Citizen.
But that's a PC game, yeah, and it's not finished.
I hear that's an Xbox game.
Yeah.
I hear that game's never coming out. Oh man, Brett, you got anything, man? I already know your answer, but I got to toss it to you anyway.
I don't know. What's my answer, Tony?
You really think Dark Souls 3 is a classic?
No.
See?
Bloodborne?
I mean, yeah, I would probably say Bloodborne, but I almost feel like, and I'm probably the only one that feels that way, like I think we'll look back and talk about how good this Fallout was.
Again with this Fallout? Brett, shit.
That's his baby right there. Don't you talk about his baby.
No, not. I think we'll look back on it because I think that we'll start to see the ideas of affecting the world or building the world, building in the world, start to take off now, and we'll look back on it and be like, oh yeah, remember that Fallout 4 was the game that started that. And I think that's the light in which a lot of games are seen as classics, as remember when blank game did blank and it became the norm.
Yeah, but I don't know. That wasn't even a big component of that game. You know, like Fallout 4 was great, but it was just more of the same, you know?
See, you think that. I think I had more people, or as far as I know, there are more people that enjoyed the settlement building component to that game than they did the game itself. Like, I knew it was a running joke that by Christmas this year, people were talking about, like, I put 200 hours into Fallout and I actually haven't started playing the game yet. Like, it happened enough that it became a joke. So I can't feel like I'm alone in that boat.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it's just who we run with, because everybody I know that played the game and loved it, they were like, I didn't do that bullshit, you know?
Yeah, well,
I just wanted to play Fallout.
But then again, that's the type of gamer you're playing. You also are that type of gamer yourself. You're not going to attract a bunch of guys like, hey, I like to build things.
Yeah,
Granted,
that is true.
a couple of guys that do want to build things.
Yeah, I don't like Brad and Corey. They were like the main guys doing that stuff. But to me, I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. Just give me a gun and let me shoot some monsters. That's all I want.
Because you don't care. You care. You can, in general, and this is just the way you play. It's like, all right, let's just get going. Let me get this going already. Whereas I feel like Brett wants to play around in the location and see what you can do, and then go out and see what else you can do.
Different types of gamers, man.
It's almost the way. It's almost the way I play too, where it's like I don't play whenever the guy goes, "Hey, we need you to go to checkpoint A over there." I'm like, "Oh no, I'm gonna stick around here for a little while and look around and see what treasure chests and shit are around here."
It's funny. Tony and I think had the same complaint. I'm like, I don't want to worry about you motherfuckers. Here's some mattresses in the street. Help yourself to whatever's in the kitchen. I'm out.
And the whole reason why I didn't get involved in Fallout, the recent Fallout, is because I know I would have did the same shit as Brett would have done. I would have went in there. I would have built my friggin' fort, my floating fort in the sky, shit. Just looking for ways to kind of make it kind of interesting.
I mean, I'm that dude when they like, okay, create your custom character. I'm like, stock character number 1, let's fucking go. I ain't got time for this shit.
No, man. I sit there, like even Mass Effect, I sat there and just fucked with his face so he didn't look like a friggin' freak.
You know what I did? I'm like, I'm playing the motherfucker on the box. Let's go.
Dude, there are still people posting new settlements to the forums and subreddits as of like 6 hours ago.
Oh yeah, no, I don't doubt that it's huge. I'm just saying for me and a bunch of people I know, not a big deal. It's like, to me, it's like, okay, I didn't like SimCity. Why am I going to do it in Fallout? I don't want to do that shit, but that's just me, But yeah, but you honestly think Fallout 4 is a classic, a modern classic?
I think Wasteland Simulator 2016 is. Yeah. And I think that's rolled up into Fallout 4.
All right. Let's move on here.
I mean, beyond that, what do you guys? How do you define classic without nostalgia? Is the thing.
That's also a very good question.
Well, no, it's a great question. But the thing is, when you play classic, like when I played Shadow Classics, that was a nostalgia. I'm like, oh my fucking god, this is a classic. You just know it. That's the weird thing about classics. It's not something that you could like really like quantify. It's just something you just know.
I've thought that before too, but like that's how I felt about Singularity. But I was the only motherfucker who thought that, and like that's how I felt when I saw Game of Thrones, and I was right on the money on that one. So like I don't know exactly where you draw the line. Like I've played games where I'm like, this immediately, like this is a thing that's gonna change things.
Oh no, I agree with you on that, but I haven't seen any of that, especially this generation. That's what it is. This generation is just nothing but fucking remasters and rehashes.
Like, did you think Legacy of Kain was a classic the first time you played it?
I didn't play the first one. I played Soul Reaver. I'm like, holy shit.
Did you think Soul Reaver was a classic the first time you played it?
I don't know if I called it. I consider it a great game. I didn't consider it classic. Shenmue, I was like, oh my fucking god, this is a classic. Grand Theft Auto 3 classic. I
thought Soul Reaver was a classic when I first played it, because I was like, wow, this is cool. Like, we got this open world, we got all this stuff, we can do these platforms. It's like, it seemed like the world was endless.
Yeah, to me, I know why you would say that, but for me, the reason I say it is when I play, I'm like, hey, this is a better Tomb Raider. That's how I saw it, And Tomb Raider, I considered a classic.
I was like, wow, Tomb Raider is a piece of shit. This is so much better.
But to me, I'm like, oh, this is a better Tomb Raider. So I didn't consider a classic Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider, obviously a fucking classic.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this. I'm not sure if I said this before, but I never liked the Tomb Raider series until the most recent one.
I don't know if you said, but Manny never liked any of those Tomb Raider games.
I never liked any of the Tomb Raider games. Yeah,
I'm right.
Tomb Raider, that game fucked me up for years. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. I can just do whatever I want, But yeah, Grand Theft Auto 3, when that came out, I was like, oh shit, here we go. This is nuts. Shenmue, same thing. Mass Effect, and I love Mass Effect. I'm still debating whether it's a classic or not.
What about Mass Effect 2?
again, I love Mass Effect 2. That's probably my favorite game of last gen. You know, second game, Uncharted 2 was obviously the. But even Uncharted 2, love that fun game. I don't know if I could call that classic.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
Wow.
I don't know if I can. You know, and I love that fucking game. That game is like probably in my top 10 of all time. You know, but I don't know if I would call it a classic like that.
It's a motherfucking classic, man. You know
is
it.
it like what did it do that really? Oh, actually, no.
It's
I just
a
answered my
cinematic
question.
experience, man.
I just answered my question because every game there's games that came out before Uncharted 2 and games that came out after Uncharted 2. It had a very definitive. You know what, Carlos? I'm gonna give you that. Uncharted 2 is a classic. You know what else is a classic too? Even though I don't care for it, Modern Warfare.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because that changed everything. You know,
Fallout 3 is a classic.
Fallout 3 is a classic.
Wait, aren't we going too far back? Weren't we on just on this?
Oh no, we're just talking about. We're giving examples of games that are classics just to prove that this generation doesn't have any fucking classics.
Oh, well, you'd have to go like Halo is a classic, and I mean,
yeah, but those are classics. So compared to classics of the past, or even recent past, this generation
this generation's been shitty. I mean, it's been really disappointing.
Yeah.
Like the only game I would consider this gen a classic is like maybe Bloodborne, but I'm not even that into it. But I know everyone that I everyone I know that plays it like swears by it. So
Bloodborne may be the de facto classic just cause from this generation, you know. And I'm not even like I know I'm not sounding enthusiastic about it, but compared to everything else, Bloodborne kind of gets it just by default, you know.
As a Souls fan, I think I'm insulted. I mean, like I know what you're saying, but like oh man, Dark Souls should take the trophy amongst healthy competition, not against these sickly anemic weaklings. It's like, yeah, like you're holding up a gold trophy, like yeah. You look around, you're like, I'm competing against little girls.
Yeah, basically. Oh man! All right, come on. Let's move on here. Okay, the Nels Coney, the very very good stuff. Chris, you know this guy. Okay, he goes. The Nintendo Classic Mini was just released. How come Nintendo only released a limited supply? They sell out instantly, and everyone gets upset. Why do they do this? Why, how does this help them? And he goes. Chris and I discussed this on Twitter earlier. Figured I fire this question in here. Thank you for doing that. We said it already, man. Artificial demand. That's what it's about. You know,
Nintendo did it before.
Yep, Nintendo always does that shit.
Yeah, it's artificial scarcity is the term, and it's an economic principle, right? When you're able to produce as much product or ideas or whatever as you want, but you restrict it to a limited amount, it creates demand, right? So think about the more recent thing Nintendo did, Amiibos, right? They did the same exact thing. They produced a very limited amount of these toys, and stores would order hundreds of them, right, and only get like 10 or 20. So then you create a huge demand because people line up. They only sell 10 or 20, and people are pissed they can't get it, but they want it. It just builds demand, and it did it. The Wii was the same thing.
Yes.
They had the ability to produce more consoles. Don't tell me they didn't. Microsoft was doing it. They all come out of Foxconn. Sony was doing it. Sony was able to meet demand. Microsoft was able to do it. Tell me Nintendo wasn't able to produce enough systems? That's bullshit. They were able to. They just didn't. They limited the supply initially because they were worried because the previous generation of GameCubes did not do well. So they were cautious, right? But that caution turned into, oh shit, if we just limit the supply, the demand shoots up. So then they've been using this principle over and over again. The reason why it doesn't work now with the NES Classic is this isn't a console. This isn't a system. This is a nostalgic novelty, right? So and then the timing of it is poor because this is right before the holidays. I mean, Black Friday's in 2 weeks. So limiting supply, right? And you're not really building demand for this. Not when you have alternatives. If somebody believes that this is the only place you can play classic NES games, then I don't know where you've been, because you could go out to a garage sale, buy some guy's NES, and probably he has a few games, and you're set. Or you could get emulators, which have existed for like 20 years, and put that on your PC. Do a Google search. Maybe it take you 20, 30 minutes to find a torrent, and you can have all 800 something games on the NES on your PC, and play anything you want, and you spent $0, right? I'm not advocating piracy. I'm just saying this stuff is out there, right? So you think about the steps Nintendo took before, in between them announcing the Classic and the launch. What did they do? They went on a legal witch hunt on PC and killed fan games, right? Because they want to eliminate anybody playing anything that is not coming from them, right? They hate the resale market. I'll tell you right now, Nintendo hates the resale market. They hate the fact that you could go to Video Games New York, or I could go to a store like the dozens of stores in Austin that sell retro games and buy NES, Super NES, GameCube games and whatever, and they don't get any incidental income. They hate that. They hate eBay, you know? That's why this thing is locked down. Why do you think they locked this down? It's all their short-term thinking. This thing is a locked box. It only has 30 games. It's not upgradable. In the era where you could go out and buy a Raspberry Pi and put it in a plastic box and load an emulator on it, it has HDMI out and everything, and you could play NES and Super NES on there with emulators easily. You tell me that Nintendo couldn't build that. They have a locked fucking ROM on there that only has 30 games. It's ridiculous. Like spending $60 on that, you might take your $60 and literally wipe your ass with it and throw it in the toilet, because that's what you're doing with it.
Damn.
All right? Just do yourself a favor. Like you have other options. Like I'd rather you give some fucking help to Ouya. You could buy one of those real cheap.
Hey, like Adam did.
Yeah, hook that up to your TV, load an emulator on it. There's dozens of them on Android, and have yourself a fun time.
By the way, I need to say this. Nintendo fucked up bad with this, because they could have easily won NPD in November if they had enough of these things. You
right.
know?
That's another thing. They knew this thing would sell. They built up hype. They announced it. They choked any information on the Switch, right? So all the outlets were desperate for some news from Nintendo. Then they come out with this thing. Everybody ran with it. They got free advertising from Kotaku and IGN. All these guys hyping this shit up. Right? So you knew you had demand for it, and then they pulled the same artificial scarcity bullshit. I heard about stores ordering 80 or 90 units and getting 4 or 2. One store got 2 fucking NES Classics to sell. I've heard Best Buy is getting 4 or 5 at a time.
Damn.
Order, right? When they order hundreds. So, yeah.
All right. I think you pretty much said it all right there. By the way, I need to go back to a previous question, the last one, because we're getting killed in the comments right now. Witcher 3, is that a classic?
I can't say it is. It's a great game, but I wouldn't say it's a classic.
Carlos? Where does the guy? He's talking to that guy from Brazil. By the way, shout out to Brazil. A dude's in the comments right now. He's saying stuff in Portuguese like, man, I wish I could respond, brother. But Brazil is the shit. We love Brazil, man. Latin brothers too, you know. And your women are fucking beautiful with the big asses. Love Brazilian women, you know. I don't know what's going on with Carlos, but yeah, Witcher. I haven't played it, so I can't say. But some people are saying it's the best game the generation. But yeah, Carlos, what do you say? Do you think that qualifies as a classic?
I don't know. To me, The Witcher 3 was just a better version of The Witcher 2.
Which was a better version of The Witcher 1.
Yeah. So that game was just like really incremental. So I didn't really see like a huge like ascendance of the game.
I mean, the thing is, you know, if you want to really boil down Witcher to its simplest elements, it's Grand Theft Auto with horses.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
wait, isn't that what Red Dead Redemption?
That's what Red Dead Redemption, you could say that is too.
You could say it's Grand Theft Auto with griffins.
No, I wouldn't say that it's with the horses. It's like, no,
with fantasy Grand Theft Auto.
No, because in The Witcher 3, like, your choices actually affect the storyline. Whereas
do they? From Witcher 1 to Witcher 2?
No, from Witcher, like in Witcher 3.
In the game, yeah.
Yeah, like in Witcher 3, like, your choices actually affect the story and, like, lock things out.
Yeah,
like, there are certain things that you can't do if you make a different choice.
Like the whole Like
main
the whole
characters die if you do certain things, and like anything that they had later on or that you didn't do, then they're gone.
Can we call it Mass Effect Auto?
No, it's not even that. Like this is like one of the few games where your choices actually matter. Like and it's not like it's fake choice. It's like real choice. It's like, hey, you did this and this happened, and now
Does how many endings are in the game? I don't know this, by the way.
I have no idea, but
Is
probably
it-
not that many.
I think there's only like 3. I think there's.
But then-
I think
But then it's not the number of endings that matter. It's like your path through that ending. Because
All endings matter. Hashtag.
no, I wouldn't say that it's anything like Grand Theft Auto. Like Grand Theft Auto is more free form, whereas with Witcher 3, it's more of a hey, these are your choices. Like pick your choice and then feel the wrath of the outcome.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on here. Do you guys game while you podcast? Brian, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I'm playing Division right now. I'm not even. Hey, it's what I do. You know, like podcasting is like my game time.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, I've never actually gamed while I podcast because I feel like it's a little difficult for me to play a game and then also talk. That's why I don't. That's part of the reason why I don't do those stupid, like talk over video. Talk while you play video games. Those let's plays or whatever like that. Because I can't.
Yeah.
It'll just be boring. It'll just be me playing and going, "Oh, cool, nice." I don't talk to myself when I play fucking games.
Yeah, I'm the host, so I can't play. Even though I do get sometimes distracted by Twitter because I am on Twitter while like the other guys are getting their turns, but I can't really play. Like Manny said, when I game, I need to really concentrate on it. I can't split my attention like that. Especially I'm not gonna give you guys like a half-ass show.
No.
So I don't do it.
I work while I podcast though, all the
Yeah,
time.
well, that's a little different though. Like game demands a little more. What about the rest of you guys? You game while you do this podcast?
No, kind of seem like Manny. I can't really concentrate. Like I have to be focused completely on the game when I'm playing. Unless it's like one of those like a MOBA or something. But no, normally I don't really play game. But I do eat though a lot.
Yes. Chris, what about you, man?
During Throwdown, yes. During TYQ, no.
Very interesting. Why is that?
Because Throwdown, we could just do it off the cuff. We have topics, right? So I'll read the topics. I know the topics, and it's just like, all right, we could roll with this. Either you know it or you don't, or you could look up stuff. But TYQ, I kind of do some pre-show prep, especially like when Nels was asking me that stuff on Twitter. I actually went and got information, right, so I could prepare. So sometimes I write down answers or prepare stuff. So I want to pay attention, and I have notes in front of me, so I don't play. But their Throwdown's a little looser, so I can talk, and I can chew my bubble gum and walk at the same time. So I can talk about shit and then still be hitting guys or shooting space lasers or flying between planets, whatever.
Brett, what about you, man?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, like that kind of illustrates my point. Like if I were doing other stuff, that'd pretty much all you get. I lose track and go into my own head doing absolutely nothing. So I would not be a great conversationalist on the podcast. I've tried playing video games while I'm on the podcast before, and you just don't fucking hear from me. So no, I actually try to do very little while I'm on the podcast so that I'm present and here with you guys, because otherwise I just end up doing 2 shitty jobs.
By the way, speaking about that, because I'm getting this right here, my boy Sammy, shout out to Sammy. He really liked my unboxing of the PlayStation 4, right? See if we can find this fucking picture. So he liked this one line I threw out there. Let me see if I can bring this picture up. Now the picture's not showing up for some fucking reason. Because I was unboxing it, and during I'm like, okay, let's see what's in this next box. But instead of saying that, because remember, I used to do this shit off the cuff, like, let's see what's in the caja. So he made a fucking meme. Let me see if I can pull it. There it is. Look at this shit. This is hilarious. Hold on. Yeah. Let me see if you guys see this shit. And I think it's the way I say it to my la caja.
No, yeah, you did first. You did a little bit of extra on that. You didn't just let's see what's here in the caja. You just went la caja, like like, and it had a little explanation point at the end of it.
Yo, you would hear some funny speaking about that like last week, because Xbox was, they had an event in Mexico, right? So this dude Aaron Greenberg, he's like tweeting out in Spanish, and I wanted to reply like "Mírate pendejo." I was like, let me not do that to an executive, nigga. You don't know Spanish. Get out of here. Somebody did that shit for you,
Hey man, he's got people.
Yeah, but I said that I'm like, is it okay if I call executive a pendejo? Like, if I better not do that shit. And the funny thing is, my boy Jose Benicor, he's like, you're talking about Greenberg, aren't you?
Oh shit.
This Jose, he knows, man. Hey, Jose, if you're listening, man, chuletas, brother. Let's go. All right. Quick shout out to Mr. West HKG. He wanted me to give him a shout out. So there you go, man. All right. Next question here. Last question from Mr. Nels Coney. Okay. do we had a variation of this question before, by the way? Do you blow off social events to game? And have you ever called in sick or late to work or skipped classes to game?
Nope.
I used to with E3. I used to normally when I was in college, I used to have early classes, and that's usually the time when E3 press conferences are. So I would just actually sometimes I would watch them during class. But during when I started working after college, I haven't really done that. I should though.
I've never done that. I've wanted to do that, hey, we're gonna hey, Tony, we got to do something. I was like, man, I want to play games, but it's like, nah, friends come first, the games come later,
I listen. When I come over, I'll be like, yo, if you want a game, I'll watch you. I'll watch you game. It don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But no, not really. Like E3, mate. The thing is, even with E3, all my buddies were doing the same thing too. Everybody's watching E3. E3 was always an event. Man, you remember that back in the day? E3 was an event. Like the whole week, all we're doing is E3.
Yeah, even
back
on cool stuff. We were all watching the streams and writing little things about it.
Yeah, man. Carlos, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I remember one time I like 2 years ago when the Master Chief Collection came out. I asked for that whole week off. I don't know if this is really answering the question, but I'm just gonna say it anyways. I got the whole week off just to play the Master Chief Collection the day it came out, and that was a whole freaking disaster because I couldn't play shit, man.
Oh man, yeah, that bullshit.
I mean, yeah, I have gotten a little, I've been usually games come out on Tuesday. I have stayed up late, playing games before work, but I still ended up going, this is when I used to go into a full-time job. I'd still get up the next day and go into work. But granted, also my hours at my job were adjusted because of the working with overseas studios. So instead of going in at a 9, we could get in at 10:30, and we went to 7.
Oh shit!
Mm-hmm.
All right, Chris, what about you, man?
Yes to everything but social events. I used to by the time senior year came around in high school, and I already had my college, admissions back, I checked out immediately. I went to play Street Fighter 2 almost every day. I would cut class half day, whatever. So yeah, I did that. For work, StarCraft, sometimes I'd be like, oh, I don't feel well. That's because I stayed up all night playing StarCraft. Probably shouldn't have been doing that, but I did it. And a couple of launches where I was like, I think Halo 2, I was like, oh, I don't feel well. And I went to fucking play Halo 2 all day. So yeah, I've done that.
Actually, when I did do it, I can't believe I almost forgot this shit. When the Sega Dreamcast came out, I blew off school that day. I was in college. I just started college that week. Like, nope, I'm skipping this shit. Some Dreamcast shit,
And, I don't even remember how I got the Dreamcast anymore. Did we go at the same time to get Dreamcast?
No, we went separate, I think.
Yeah, I think we did get them separately. Yeah, I don't remember any like sitting on lines or anything. I just remember going into the place and
went to the
buying
store
it
and
and
picked it
going
up,
out. Yeah. Not like that PlayStation 4 shit. I mean PlayStation 3 shit.
Yeah, with that big ass line, man.
Mhm.
You know, you were lucky the taxi place was on the same block.
Hell yeah, man.
He was right.
As soon as I got
grabbed that shit, he ran, man.
as soon as I got my stuff, I was like, "We're out of here," because I'm walking with a fucking what was it at the time, $400 console,
500, I think.
$500 console. Hell no, we're going home. We're putting that shit up.
Yeah, you were on your own sneaking mission, man. You did that shit quick. You know.
I don't want to stick around. I don't want to have some fucker be like, "Yo, what you got in that box?"
Yo, let me see what's in the box.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, man, what about you?
I wish to refrain from answering this question because I know who listens to this podcast.
Uh-oh. Okay, fair enough. All right,
You plead the fifth.
Yeah, Brett, what about you, man?
I pretty much game when I want to. I try not to break promises. So like that's one of those things that I'm really big on is kind of being a man of my word, not breaking my promises. Like I get it. I'm hot headed and I pop off of the mouth and all that good stuff. So you got to keep those redeeming qualities redeeming. So if I've made a commitment to be somewhere, I will be there. If I have the option to go somewhere or stay home and play video games, I might stay home and play video games. There's a lot of times when that's just what I feel like doing, so that's what I'll do. But I mean, if we're talking about like work or planned social obligation, like I have clients, I don't have a boss, so I don't like to I try not to disappoint my clients. And if I've committed to being somewhere, I'm going to try and be there, because otherwise that makes me a liar, and that's one of the things I can't abide.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not advocating people like blow off work and stuff. Like there's just things I've gotten away with, but my philosophy is always that works there tomorrow. So I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna play stuff right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, but don't do what I do.
Don't do what I do, kids.
All right, next up here, Mr. JK Livewire, who's one of our newer guys. He joined us last week because he found out about our show because he saw Manny on the show with Yang. Yeah,
the codec, which is the they kind of do Metal Gear stuff. They interview voice actors and stuff like that. And Yang was on there.
So yeah, he has some questions for us. All right, if you had to choose a game/movie for Telltale to make their own, what will it be? He goes, mine, since Metal Gear is pretty much dead after Phantom Pain, I think they make a pretty interesting spin-off. So he picks Metal Gear. Yeah, could you imagine?
Like, that's a cool idea. I mean,
I like that actually.
Just a mostly like a point and click adventure version of Metal Gear.
I want to see Telltale. I want to see Telltale do fucking Superman. I think they do. We talked about this on the show before. I think they do a really good job with that because it's not all about fighting, you know.
To be honest, I actually would like to see them go into the other kind of Kojima games. I'd like to see them because I'd like to see them do Snatcher, and I'd like to see them do something in the Policenauts world, like those sorts of games, or I'd like to see those. I mean, out of movies, I'd probably want to see. I don't know, something that has a deep story to it. Like, I don't know, maybe I could definitely see something like an Interstellar getting like a Telltale game, kind of a crazy space game.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of philosophy or something. Oh, 2001. That'd be an interesting.
That'd be an interesting game, yeah.
I mean, granted, we'd have to make it a little bit poppier than just kind of sitting around in space. Stuff. But yeah, I mean, 2001 and 2010 and the final book, having those adapted into actual games might be interesting. And it kind of fits that kind of Telltale Games format where it's not like, you're not running around all the time. A lot of times you're looking for things and, kind of just, connecting the story.
Barry Burton wants a Westworld Telltale game.
Which version of Westworld?
The one that's out now. The one people care about.
Oh, shut your face. Bill Brenner is the man.
Manny, you and I both know no one's talking about that old Westworld.
I love that old Westworld, man. Fuck you people out there. Oh, man.
Man, fuck Netflix.
Yo, man, watch the original Westworld just for the hell of it. It's a fun movie. Also, by the way,
Is it on Netflix though?
who gives a shit? If
No,
you
but
most of you people got Amazon Prime anyway, it's probably on there. The movie literally costs like less than $8 if you want to buy it on Blu-ray or DVD. So there's no excuse. Also, yeah, pair that up with Logan's Run.
Yo, man, you going retro?
Yeah, I like Logan's Run.
All right, Chris, what you got, man?
Shit, I got distracted. What are we talking about?
We're talking. Okay, what game or movie would you want to see Telltale adapt?
Yes, Dead Space. You know what? Because there's a lot of story to tell with that game. There was a great novel. By the way, Kristen read it. It was about Altman, the guy who found the original marker on Earth in the past, like before Unitology got created, right? That would make a great Telltale game. Putting that novel into a game format. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in Dead Space. We're only from the perspective of Isaac, right? What he's doing. But then to learn more about what the necromorphs are and the markers and all that shit, that would make a great Telltale game.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I'm with you on that one. That's awesome. All right, Carlos, what you got?
Oh, sorry, what was the question again?
Motherfuckers, man, ain't paying attention.
I started playing something.
You started, but the question started.
He wanted to see if he could do it, and you failed.
I failed.
That's why I don't play during the question one. I just blanked out. I blanked out. Yeah, I'm getting old.
Yeah, but yeah, the question was, what property? It could be a movie or a game. Do you want to see Telltale handle?
Oh, I'm not too big of a fan of Telltale.
Oh, you knew you were gonna say, man, fuck Telltale.
Yeah.
Man, a point and click.
At least he's being honest.
Yes.
Well, Game of Thrones is already out there. I don't know. Maybe like an expanded Mass Effect like story.
That's cool.
Because like I feel like Mass Effect, like as good as it is, it doesn't really tell as much story as I want it to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just has so much like rich history that I want to get to know. And I don't know. There's probably already like books about it and stuff, but I haven't checked that out. But yeah, that would be my answer.
All right, Brian.
I'm not too sure at the moment. Ooh, here's a funny one. Batman versus Superman. So we can actually get a good story. No, I'd say something that's horror based. Alien would be nice, I think. Or no. Yeah, Alien.
All right, that's a good one. Brett, what about you?
None. I hate Telltale games.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
real.
I kind of agree. I'm not such big of a fan of Telltale.
The one thing about Telltale games is it's like if you took point and click adventures and made them even like just like the bare minimum. It's like find the clue. Oh wait, the clue's already in my box already. I just need to walk over to that guy. Continue the story.
All right, so moving on here. Okay, why do game companies always make a new console but never have backwards compatibility? Like the PS4 Pro was so hyped up to play 4K games, but never to be able to play a last-gen game. Come on, Sony, I want to play Metal Gear Solid 4 on my goddamn PS4 already, LOL. You know why? Because they're always upgrading the components, so they're not backwards compatible by nature and stuff. Plus, they can sell you remasters.
And then the other thing is that also the creation of their solution to this problem is PlayStation Now, right?
Yeah, because they want to sell you that shit.
Is it PlayStation Go or PlayStation Now?
PlayStation Now.
PlayStation Now. So their solution to this problem is PlayStation Now, which is absolutely stupid because, Metal Gear Solid 4 was on PlayStation Now, but the only stupid thing about it is that you have the game and it's on there. So why can't you just stick your game in there and it says, oh, hey, you have that game. Good. You can play it. Unlike a certain Xbox system.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I mean, I know we first said that this solution would be an interesting solution where you could play, you play your old games via stream, but at the time they never answered that key question, which was if you already own the game, what happens? And exactly that, they just made it into its own service. They made it into Game Netflix. Which is not an answer to the problem.
Right, because they're not going to tell you their thoughts on it. They also hate a resale market or residual income. If they can get you to buy the game again or buy into the service to play it, of course they're going to do it.
Exactly.
Right, but Microsoft's handling it a little better because they are implementing backwards compatibility with the Xbox One. And I guess they have to test each game and get the emulation right to do it, but at least they're doing it.
Yeah, I also think it's just to keep the cost down, because they got to put literally like 2 consoles in one if you want it to be backwards compatible.
Right. Or you have to write emulation that works consistently.
Yeah, I mean, remember the PlayStation 3? It literally had the cell processor in there.
And even and to be honest, even the backward compatible software that the other PlayStation 3 had was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, it was. I remember playing on that.
Mm-hmm. So the only reason why they originally removed it is because everybody was buying when people were buying PlayStation 3 games, PlayStation 3 consoles, they were still playing PlayStation 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing about like backwards compatible games. Like they're really important when the consoles are released, but as the generation drags on, they're less important. At least that used to be the case. Now everything's a fucking remaster anyway.
Well, that's just their way of buffering the amount of time between games. Because it takes them so long now.
It's crazy.
So it's like, hey, we're not going to have this game out in time, but if we release like 10 remasters, people won't think we're not making anything.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on this? Because I think it's already pretty well known why most game systems are not backwards compatible.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason. It's just they want you to buy the new one. They don't want you to continue to go back. I mean, we've been saying back when we were kids, we were saying that shit from the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
why the fuck doesn't this stupid new thing play this old shit from before?
Yeah, it's the same old story, man. Never changes. All right, the last couple questions here from Mr. Ferngully. Ferngully's funny, man. Like, I was talking to him on PSN, and he suspects that dude in the comments giving me shit is none other than Other Zinc. But this guy isn't as much of an asshole, He still was like trying to engage me. Other Zinc, he wouldn't have any of that, But the similarities is they kept repeating my name over and over and over again, which is irritating, fucking irritating.
What do you think of that, Tony Polanco?
Yeah, what do you think of that, Tony Polanco? Tony Polanco. Man, I'll smash your skull in. I know my fucking name. All right. So
man, that really bothers you, Tony Polanco.
It does, because it's fucking condescending as shit. That really bothers you, Tony Polanco. Why does it bother you, Tony Polanco? The others think always did that shit. Did you guys hear the fucking the verses between him and Charles? He said Charles's name every 5 seconds. Charles. I wanted to go in there and slap him, and then when I got in there, Tony. Man, so irritating. All right. First question here. Okay, there are fanboys who are saying 4K native is going to be a whole lot different than 1080p, than 1800p upscaled to 4K. So let's indulge. Once it releases, how much different from the Pro is a Scorpio going to be? Very good question here. So, Chris, I'm going to let you go first because you've kind of detailed this before.
Yeah, I mean. All right, so the Scorpio spec, let's just look at the numbers and let's talk about apples and apples, right? So if you're talking from single precision floating point, which is FP32, so that we know the PS Pro is 4.2 teraflops. We know what it's capable of right now. So the Scorpio is going to be 6 teraflops, when it's built. It's not ready yet. So if you're talking about the amount of power needed to run native 4K at, you know, like a detail game. So I'm not thinking like, you know, some little platformer or something, or a racing game. I'm thinking of like Halo 6, right? If that game was to be 4K and you expect it to run at 60 frames per second on Scorpio hardware, it won't happen. That's not going to happen. So the difference is not much. Like there's a big leap, right? So 1.8 teraflops is a huge difference, right, in computing power, but it's not. I don't think it's a big enough leap because you, if you look at PC, so you have the 1080 cards. How is that 8 teraflops right now?
Which one, Chris?
The 1080.
Oh, the 1080 is
Like 9. Yeah.
Okay, 9 teraflops. Is that pushing those kind of specs? Can it fill 4K at you know 60 frames a second with
No,
Not on everything.
not on everything, right? So, and this is a way more powerful card. This is way more. The distance between a GeForce 1080 and the spec of the Scorpio is almost double the distance between the Scorpio and the PS4 Pro. So that gap is not going to fulfill this need, right? You know, it'll do some stuff native 4K, probably 30 frames, but not complicated stuff, not complex. Like I can't expect a Halo 6, you know, next gen shooter, or you know, the next Gears or whatever it is that Microsoft has coming out for it. Because let's be real, all that power doesn't mean shit unless you have the games to run on it.
Yep.
Let's hope that they have something to show it off. But still, realistically, if the current NVIDIA hardware isn't pushing that kind of capacity, then it's doubtful that Scorpio will. So just keep that in mind, that computing power, that number, even though one number is bigger than the other, you have to think about how complex 4K is, like how high the resolution is, and then filling all those pixels at a high frame rate takes a lot of power. And if the GeForce isn't doing it at 9 teraflops, then it's unlikely the Scorpio will be able to do it.
Yeah, see, that's why I just tossed it to you, because you give the technical breakdown, and that's generally what I think. I think you're going to notice it, like maybe on some games, but for the most part, it's not really going to do much of a difference, you know. Especially if Sony gets its shit together and adds more of those checkerboard upscaled games rather than just normal upscaled games.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's up to the developer to see what they want to include on certain consoles.
Yeah.
They might just release the same thing for both of them.
They
Like-
could, you know.
So
You're right.
It has happened before.
Yeah, just, you know, because it'll be easier for them. They don't want to deal with too much shit.
Yeah, why
you know?
why do we want to tweak something specific for one console and not the other? You know,
Yeah.
once the minute the Scorpio comes out, you're going to see pretty much the same sort of things that you see on the PlayStation ones.
Like, think about it. Like, even the PS3, right, was more powerful than the Xbox 360. They weren't taking extra advantage of that shit. They just made the same game.
Yeah, they took the lowest common denominator and the one that had the most. What do they call it? There was the most versions. There was the most Xboxes out there, and that was the one that they QA'd.
Yeah. And even with this generation, at the beginning of it, right, Xbox had the Kinect and stuff, right? Developers weren't using that shit.
Yeah,
They
because
the same game.
They didn't
And
have
the PS4 had the stupid thing. Very few people actually use that bullshit. The touchpad, you know.
Yeah, they use the touchpad, or even the PlayStation Eye. But even the PlayStation Eye, they made that optional, where you just go to the store and pick one up. But other than that,
yeah, I don't really foresee a big difference between them. I know, like with the first party games, maybe, but even then, the first party games on Xbox are going to look like they're not going to look as good as their PC counterparts. You know, so yeah, I don't really see too much of a difference, to be honest.
This is where Brian comes in with the nice little other look. It depends on what processor the Scorpio is running on, because as we know, the PlayStation Pro just uses like a slightly more beefed up version of the PS4 processor, which is kind of shit. So if the Scorpio is actually like using like a decent processor, then we could actually get like really good exclusives on there, in terms of actual like quote unquote next gen stuff. Like It's like instead of just like having like fancy graphics, then we could get like better AI, like better particle effects, better physics, like better physics simulation, that type of stuff. Because as far as I know, does anyone actually know what processor the Scorpio will have, or have they just talked about the
Oh,
GPU mostly?
Yeah, they
yeah, they just
haven't
talking
really
about
talked
GPU.
about the GPU. There's no other specs in there. And the thing
Okay.
is, based on AMD's roadmap, I don't know if their next gens of CPU is going to be ready for the Scorpio, because they said all that stuff will launch in 2018, right?
hmm
So I don't know if that limits the Scorpio to have like again another beefed up version of the current Puma Jaguar, architecture, right?
Yeah,
And not
but
have
even then, if if they can sort out the damn CPU of these consoles, then they could actually be worth a damn. Because from all the stuff that I've seen, it's mainly the CPU just holding the consoles back. But then on top of that, there'll also be like the parity with like the non-premium versions, and I think that is going to tie down developers more so than anything else.
Yeah, they're definitely being sure that the games actually run on the non-pro versions of the consoles. Definitely.
Yeah, because remember, these games also still have to run on Xbox One as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I don't see it being like this gulf, that the Xbox fanboys are claiming it's going to be.
Again,
But for the record,
again, they're talking about they're just we keep saying this, but they keep talking about boxes, but we're not talking about games, and that I feel like this is a really dangerous situation, because everybody's these guys are all chest thumping that they're going to have the most powerful console. The PlayStation also did have the PlayStation 3 was the most powerful console at the time, and then when it first came out, I'm going to be honest, it didn't really have any games that took advantage of what it was. And the multi-platform games, because they were on the original Xbox 360, the guys didn't QA any of them, so they just looked about the same, or sometimes didn't even take advantage of anything that the PlayStation 3 could do.
Sometimes the PlayStation 3 version was worse.
Yeah, and then the PlayStation 3 was worse. How many times have you heard those comments? Oh, it's supposed to be the most powerful console on the market, but why don't the games look any better?
Yeah, man.
Sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, doesn't it? It does sound familiar. It's just funny how people just switch sides when it's their console. Because remember, the Xbox guys, all this generation, we're all about graphics don't matter, resolution doesn't matter. It's all about the games. Now it's all about power. Now the Sony guys have flipped. Now it's all about games. Very interesting when Sony guys were pumping their chest about graphics. Very interesting.
To be honest, it's always been about games. Hearing about console sales, that is a bit of a troubling situation. Obviously, you want your console to do well, but it's the software is what makes the money. It's because everybody is connected to Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus is what's making them money, not the fact that they're selling these consoles, because in general they sell these things at a loss when they first start. So they're looking for they're looking for the actual video game sales to buff the cost.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. This is a fun question. If you had the powers of God or a god, how would you end the console wars? Conditions: you're not allowed to kill anyone.
Well, that X's out Tony, because I'm sure that's the first thing he would do.
Yeah. Well, that would have been the first thing. But since I can't kill
Everybody
anyone,
would be orange juice.
Yeah, I would. I would like put a hypnotic suggestion in the back of their head, so they would all just care about games.
Like what if your power was like Death Note, where you like you just write in the book, and you just get.
But you know what I mean? Like I would just basically manipulate everybody's mind so they don't worry about that bullshit. I can't kill anyone because I was going to just blow up the planet and just be done with it. That's how you solve the problem, but can't kill. So I'm going to go with just altering people's brains so they don't care about this shit. So they actually worry about games.
You don't actually need to be a god to do that. You can just be Charles Xavier. Don't care about the console war. Your console is good enough.
All right, Manny, what do you say?
what powers would I use to fix the
No,
console?
if you were a god, remember, God means you have unlimited powers.
Well, I would use my powers to create one console.
Ooh, I like that.
The one console that could easily, and it's also part of the PC universe, so it's everything.
So it's a PC.
It's a PC.
Well, basically, the one console to rule
The
them
one
all.
console PC
Yes.
unit.
But I was thinking
Is
about
that
this.
Sauron?
Yeah,
I am Sauron.
he is the god, right?
I am the one to rule them all.
Oh no, I'm thinking about Jet Li now. I am the one. I'm no one's speech.
I am nobody. So yeah, I would say I would just combine everything into one super thing.
Into one.
Essentially, the PC.
You know what's gonna happen, right? They're gonna have people going, man, my consoles of choice are Samsung, man. Fuck the Sony ones, man.
And then I would also get rid of Mac as well.
Oh shit! You just get rid of Mac.
There would only be one type of PC that comes out. Would that make a monopoly? Well, who cares? I'm fucking God. There's only one thing that does everything.
Yes, there you go, Chris.
Shit. I don't know. There's a lot of options. I mean, you could go Old Testament and say, oh, well, if you have huge cognitive dissonance, I'm just taking away your hands.
Oh shit!
And you can't enjoy games anymore, or your sight. Or I'm going to turn your Xbox into a serpent until you accept that this is all bullshit. You know, like, just go old school.
Yeah, without unleashing meteors on people.
You must
kill
your son.
No, none of that. Not that Old Testament. just enough. Like, all right, all the Xboxes are serpents now. You guys got to calm down.
Oh shit!
And you know what you do? You know
scorpions.
Yeah. Oh, they turn into
scorpions.
Scorpions.
All right,
No,
Carlos,
just be nice online, and they will go back to normal.
Yeah, no more scorpions. Oh man, that'd be funny. You know, Carlos, what you got?
Damn, man, it happened again.
You motherfucker!
Okay, so what? So what has your now? Since you've already opened this door, what are you playing?
He couldn't even concentrate enough to answer the question. I don't know
what the question was.
What are you playing?
Turn into a scorpion, man. The question was, if you had the powers of a god, how would you end the console wars without killing anyone?
Oh, I would. I would destroy all consoles.
Oh, just kill all consoles.
I'll just get rid of it. It's an apocalypse, man.
Damn.
All of your consoles will be destroyed.
Hey, that is one way to end a war. It's just kill them, the console.
Yeah.
Don't kill the people, kill the consoles.
I've not killed anyone. I've just destroyed all consoles.
Then everyone would have to unite, man. Kind of like how, what's going on right now.
They're not united though. This is the last thing they are, but united.
Oh yeah, that's true. But like, I'm talking about different sects of society.
Oh man. All right, Brian, what you got?
Okay, it seems like I have like the most practical solution ever, right? Okay, because I have the powers of a god, I can do anything and everything I want. However, I'm not allowed to kill people, right?
Yeah, you're not allowed to kill people.
Okay, good. First of all, I'll use my powers to read people's minds, and if ever they had the thought of, hey, platform X sucks, then I will appear in front of them and slap the shit out of them. And then just go away.
Damn, you'll be busy, man. You'll be bamfing everywhere.
But
remember, he's a god.
I have unlimited power. I can do anything.
You can. I mean, yeah, you can do that. I'm just saying, like, that won't leave a lot of time for anything else. You'll have to slap a lot of motherfuckers.
No, but he's a god, though. He could literally
He could slap more than one motherfucker at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Even at 2 million a second, remember, there's 7 billion people on the earth. You'll still be busy.
But it could be simultaneously. Understand?
Yeah.
Remember, he's infinite.
Okay.
See, that's the problem with like unlimitedness. It's like there's no rhyme and reason to anything. So yeah, just slap motherfuckers, and then eventually, hopefully, in due time, they will learn not to think that. But then again, that's a very dark future to live in.
All right, but I think you should give them 3 strikes and then do Carlos's suggestion and just blow up their console. Like after 3 slaps, you're just wasting your time.
Why
I
are you
kinda
being
like-
hard-headed?
I like what Brian said. I'm gonna actually do an add-on, like electroshock therapy, right? If you even think that shit, you're gonna get like buzzed, you know.
Kind of like
Just-
Bill Murray
no,
in
No,
Ghostbusters.
dude, just hit him with lightning.
No.
So that
Oh,
part, you're
shit.
God. Just bam.
Jesus.
You don't die, you know, but still.
No, it's
This is
the
a
type
light
of lighting that doesn't kill you.
You're God. You can make that type of lightning,
Hey,
right?
you make that lightning. People have not died from lightning strikes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you just lose all your hair. You turn into an albino.
Get a jolt in
You
your
turn into freaking powder.
That's your punishment for the
You are powder
control.
now.
You are powder.
Man, I know these kids listening don't even know what the fuck we're talking about right now.
No.
Powder was a good movie, man.
With
Fuck
John Travolta.
Right,
Wait, no, that didn't have John Travolta.
That's phenomenon.
That's phenomenon. I forgot there were
Did
two
he get
psychic
struck by
people
lightning
movies.
too?
I
Oh,
think
man. These guys are making memes out of me right now. My boy Lewis. Let me post this real quick. This is another thing I said.
Awesome.
That was me making fun of Chad Ward, and he's like, "It's slick, black, like my hair, black." All right, Brett, what you got, man?
Oh, my
Brett's
answer's not
playing
as
games
fun as
too.
everybody else's.
Oh, really? I'm going to be disappointed because I expect yours to be the best.
No, probably not. I would use my powers a total of once so that everybody in the world would go to sleep, and during that sleep they would be allowed to partially peer behind the veil to see the vast expanse of knowledge that their tiny mind can only hold a fraction of, and then before they wake up have it all ripped away again, leaving only the vague, unsettling notion of how much there is that you don't know, about how much that you cannot understand from another person's perspective, and just leave that vague, shaking, unsettling knowledge in each and every person who goes on the internet, so that the next time you go to post something incredulous or horrific, you realize, you remember just that little bit, like, I don't fucking know anything. Compared to the grand scheme of things, I know absolutely nothing, and I cannot begin to comprehend somebody else's subjective experience, so I have not a foot to stand on before I post this incredulous, stupid comment.
Oh man. All right. And the last question here. This is a fun one. Has Halo fallen off as Microsoft's killer app? Some think even Gears is bigger now.
yeah,
Uh-oh. I think
Yeah.
so.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think people care about Halo anymore.
Well, the thing about Halo is it's just a huge thing to live up to, like from the last one. I think the one thing about Gears is the fact that they still had people who worked in the original Gears games working on the new one.
Yeah, Rod Ferguson, you know.
Yeah, they had the same guys doing the game. So I think the problem with Halo is that it's also very married to Master Chief and all that sort of stuff. So how do you outdo something that was already amazing? You know.
Yeah, it's a great
Hey,
point.
Gears of War. Gears of War. The other two games, 2 and 3, they were good, but they were not as good. At least in my opinion, they weren't as good as the original. But that's the key with all this stuff, though, because being those games were a little bit weak, you could start again with something even stronger.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else we can say about this. Like, it's pretty obvious what's going on with Halo now. It's definitely fallen from grace, you know?
Yeah.
It's just an old franchise.
Yeah, dude. It's over. It's
I mean,
over.
Call of Duty's not even gonna have that many legs in the future, so it's just inevitable, especially for first person multiplayer games. They're just not gonna last that long.
No,
Yeah,
you either give the same thing over and over again, which leaves people disappointed. You pivot and give them something new, which disappoints some and makes other people happy, or you just water down your brand over time. I mean, there's a reason there's only 3 Dark Souls. And I hate it, but I appreciate it.
Well, there's 3 Dark Souls, a Bloodborne, a Demon Souls.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I say I hate it and I love it. There won't be another Dark Souls. There will be another Dark Souls-like game, But the distinction is important because it'll make departures from the series. It'll do things a little bit differently that cause it to be regarded on its own. If you couldn't make a Dark Souls 6, because by the time Dark Souls 6 comes around, you would have backed yourself into a corner that would be inherently unfulfilling. Miyazaki will continue to make great games and continue to make games very similar to Dark Souls, but by taking himself away from the series, it opens him up to do some different things. The same way Bloodborne is a Souls game, but it's not a Dark Souls game. And if you had tried to make a Dark Souls game that was fast, where you regenerated health, where you couldn't use a shield, that followed on this Eldritch lore, as opposed to, you know, like following the same narrative that the Souls games follow, people would have had a fucking conniption fit. But it's because they turned it into Bloodborne that they were able to give it a little bit more freedom. So I think it's kind of the same thing. Like, eventually every series has to come to an end. Every TV show has to come to an end. You can make something similar. You can make a spiritual successor. You can take what worked and move along. But at some point, you need to unhinge yourself or unchain yourself from that initial thing. Because like I said, if you're standing in one point and you only have so many options. You can do more of the same so many times and water down the thing that you had. Or you could put the same stuff in it, or you could put new stuff in it. And eventually, putting the same stuff in it just doesn't hold the same potency. And doing different stuff sometimes leads you away from your fan base, sometimes helps with the fan base. We all know a game that's reinvented itself much to the fan base's love. So, you know, we can have a Fallout 4 now and we can have, you know, a Grand Theft Auto 5 because the last few Grand Theft Autos are not the same as the first few Grand Theft Autos. It's not been 7 games of the same shit over and over and over and over again. It continues to reinvent itself, in some ways good, in some ways bad, and that's what keeps people interested. So I think if we're talking about just like, by its very nature, Halo is going to be watered down. Unless it had dramatically reinvented itself, that's how it's going to be. So I don't know if necessarily a sign of Halo doing badly. It's just, that's like saying like, oh, you know, this 80-year-old guy can't run the mile like he used to. Like, well, yeah, that's to be expected. He's 80. Does it mean he's going to die tomorrow? Not necessarily. But does it mean that he's not young and fit and just out of the gate? Yeah, that's what it means.
Yeah, and then people were saying that ever since it went to 343 that Halo's been going down. I thought like the last Bungie game Halo was going down.
Yeah, no, Halo went over the cliff and then Bungie abandoned it and somebody else picked up the scrap and wreckage. It's Bungie abandoned ship because the Halo franchise was going to flounder. Like, they saw the writing on the walls. There's only so many times we can do this before it becomes either a watered down shell of itself or we have to do something drastically different. And so they made the correct choice in that they're like, we're going to do something different. And they did different things. And Destiny is pretty much Halo. I mean, come on, it's pretty much Halo, but it's far enough removed from Halo that you can. It's called something different, so they could do some of the other things that would have otherwise revitalized the Halo series. If they had turned Halo into like a multiplayer online game the way Destiny was, and if they had opened up the world and given you those same options, it might have breathed some new life into it, but probably not because everybody's already sick of Destiny. Well, not everybody.
Yeah, no, people are still playing that shit, you know?
But the point is, Halo's living a standard video game life cycle, and it's in a normal, healthy place for a game its age.
Yeah, to
me, it just means that eventually there's going to be a little bit of a longer time between Halo games.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Like, if Microsoft decided to span out Halo like once every maybe 5 years or once every generation, it might pick up, like, because it would have more hype to it instead of having it like every other year.
I don't know, but here's the thing. I think intellectual properties don't age with time. Intellectual properties age with each iteration. So imagine like they stay in this weird timeless place until you make another one, and then they wear.
And everybody's last memory is the last one.
Exactly. So you can have a game that's better. Rockstar does a really good job. They space their games out. We haven't had 20 Grand Theft Autos, but there will even come a time where even if they're 3, 4, 5 years apart, 6 years apart, 7 years apart, there will come a time in which Grand Theft Auto has it's kind of over. But when I say that, I realize I'm also thinking like they reinvent with pretty much every damn game. They put in new systems, they put in new ways to tell stories, they put in online modes, they put in 3 protagonists. So I guess that's the other way, is that they're constantly changing.
And Mario is the same. Mario does that too.
Yep.
And it's been going on forever now. And Zelda's done that as well. Most of the Nintendo franchises, actually.
Yeah, pretty much.
The thing is that you see the distance of time between the last of the iterations.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, man. So yeah, Halo. I think Brett said it right. It's like it's not good. It's not dead, but it's not the spry young guy it used to be. You know.
It's not lightning in a bottle anymore. And well, for that being said, like there's a lot of spry young games that aren't doing as well as Halo. So you can't just manufacture greatness like that, or people would. Unfortunately, there's no
formula.
Yeah, there's no formula for success. I mean, I'm sure if Manny could figure out the formula for success in comic books, he would sell it and be a millionaire.
Fuck.
Like in any creative endeavor, I think this is going to land, but it may not. So
yeah, there's always that with something creative. There's always that question mark as to whether what you're doing. You question whether what you're doing is actually good. And definitely, obviously, everybody goes out there with saying, "I'm going to make something good. I'm going to make something incredible," but it doesn't end up being good or incredible. If you think about it, there's as many games out there that exist. There is just as many failures, or more failures.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I keep thinking about that line. It's like it's like die a hero or live long enough to be the villain.
I was thinking about that. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I was thinking about that too earlier. That's kind of a good way to put it. It's most of the things that we love ended kind of early before they could water down. So yeah, I'd kind of agree with that. It's horrible.
That describes a lot of companies. I mean,
yeah, it does.
Look at Electronic Arts in the 90s, and look at them now, right? Look at Nintendo now. Look, that saying is very appropriate.
Yeah, Metal Gear is about to become an enemy, right?
It's already become the villain. Oh man! All right.
Okay. Can we give a good example of this, like just to crystallize this point? Like, think of a game that has just not changed at all. Maybe a game that was a great game.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'll give you an example. Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, I have a better
same
example.
Platforming game for years. Like Super Mario World is probably one of my favorite games. I'm sure everyone loves that game. But if you look at every iteration out, the Wii and on, it's kind of become a soulless, repetitive, like platformer.
How about a game with split screen co-op? How about a game that you fight waves upon waves of enemy commanding an army? A game that Riku loves.
Oh, Dynasty Warriors?
There it is.
I said Dynasty Warriors. You didn't hear me?
Oh, I missed that. No.
That was the first thing I said. We said, hey, let's think about a game. The first thing I said was Dynasty Warriors. Go back to tape. You'll hear it.
Yeah,
Dynasty Warriors is the perfect example. It's the same fucking game all the time. Not only that, but even the spin-offs are the same fucking game.
But it was a great game. But the first time you played Dynasty Warriors, you're like, this is awesome.
Actually, no.
I don't know, man. The first time I played that, I'm like, this is fucking trash.
I was on PlayStation 2 and that shit showed up. I was like, what the fuck is this shit?
I played that. I played the first time. I'm like, this is fucking trash.
And then 100 sequels later, why the fuck is this thing still around?
Dude, fucking Dynasty Warriors is the AC/DC of video games, except they suck. AC/DC is still fun, at least, even though it's the same goddamn albums, But Dynasty Warriors has always been fucking trash.
Really?
Sorry, Riku.
Maybe I just played it on the original PlayStation, and it was. I remember I actually played the first Dynasty Warriors, and I remember thinking it was great.
But
I think it was the first one on PlayStation 2. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
I'm looking it up.
No,
it released on PlayStation.
I remember playing that original Dynasty Warriors, and I remember not being impressed by it.
Terrible game, But it's a good example. It's like it's the same fucking game over and over and over again.
So now they released that game with a bunch of difference. No, you could say that with the Street Fighter 2 versions of it. But Street Fighter 2 to 3, those are two different games.
Yes.
Yeah, but Street Fighter, other than aesthetics and
other than aesthetics and controls,
you're doing Hadoukens.
Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 3 are not the same game fundamentally. Street Fighter 3 was so different. I actually didn't want to play that game because it was so different from Street Fighter 2. The fucking parry system made it a completely different game.
Yeah,
that was not a Street Fighter game.
But Street Fighter 3 is now considered a one-off. They never did that again.
Yeah, they went back to basics.
They went back to the basics, yeah.
But yeah, Street Fighter, man, could it be one of those games too? Because Street Fighter 5. But the thing is, what happened with Street Fighter 5 wasn't that the game was broken or anything like that, or people got bored of it. They just didn't have any fucking content in it. That was the problem with Street Fighter 5.
Well,
it was I was gonna say half a game, but it wasn't half a game. It was literally like a quarter of a game.
Well, because it's fucking Capcom. They do all this. They do this bullshit every fucking game, man. They have all these characters that people love, and then they release the next game, and they release half of those characters, and then just wait and release the new ones for DLC. They did it with Marvel vs. Capcom as well.
Yeah, they did, man. Remember that shit?
And Marvel vs. Capcom, it's the same shit over and over again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, Marvel vs. Capcom 1 was different than 2, but then 2 and 3 were kind of the same. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 and 3 are very similar.
Yeah, 1 was different. I actually like Capcom versus Marvel vs. Capcom 1 best out of all of them.
Yeah, because you actually had 6 buttons in it as opposed
to
minimizing the actual buttons that you can use.
Yeah, I mean, but of course, out of the Versus series in general, my favorite will always be X-Men versus Street Fighter. All right, I think we pretty much answered this question. And the last thing here, I put this question just in purple for you guys, for us here. The question is Xbox One the PS3 of this generation? Go back a bunch of episodes. You actually asked us this question before, and we answered it in full. It was actually a really good question, but we already answered this one, so no need to go through that again. What episode number it was, I don't know. You figure it out. All right. The last thing here, I'll ship out the Console Wars books soon. I just realized this is holiday season, so it may be a little tricky. You know what I mean? When I go to that post office, it's going to be full of people. So just give me time. I'll get them to you eventually.
I say, dude, do it in sections. You don't
have to because it's for 4 different people, No,
I mean, you don't pack them all up and then bring them all in. Do them in sections. If you take out maybe 1 or 2 books one day, 1 or 2 books another day. Don't try to be oh, I'm going to take all these shitty books all the way over there.
Well, it's only 4 books total,
But yeah, I feel if it's that much of a hassle, then don't try to bring them all in once. Just come in every
No, the hassle is just waiting on that long ass line because it's the holidays,
Ain't no holiday now. You can go in tomorrow.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, I'll get them to you eventually, people. So thank you for your patience and stuff, and for actually answering the questions. All right. So let's wrap this shit up. So thank you for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section on the Coalition or on YouTube so we can answer them on next week's show. Be sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Also help support the site by donating to our Patreon page. Subscribe to Throwdown, SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links are available in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco and joined by Emilio Lopez.
I'll see you later, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
La Caja.
Brett Murdoch.
It's been real, party people.
And Brian Manjoma. Come on, Brian. Don't let me down, man.
Don't worry, I'm here. I'm just busy playing the Division.
This
My bad.
motherfucker.
We're at the end of the show, bro.
So the
Yeah.
question is, Brian,
Yeah. You're gonna go on for another hour.
What's the question again, guys?
Yeah, the question is, what's the best way of signing off the show?
Ooh, too many things to answer. Play games. Simple enough. There we go.
All right. Works for me. All right, people. We'll see you next time. By the way, check out the latest episode of The Co-op. I'm in it talking shit. Check it out. Fun episode. I'll talk to you all later. Peace.
Deuces,
later.
everybody.
Latest.
Later, guys.
Good night, gentlemen.